Hey, happy Tuesday, good people. Sound looks good, looks like you can hear me. Welcome. Let me move this stuff around so I don't knock water all over my computer, but welcome to Mastermind Academy. Welcome to another episode. Welcome to the very first day of Base Camp, Camp Cloud. I'm glad you're here. Welcome. It's been a while. If you weren't on yesterday, good to see you. What's up, John Vagabond? Good to see you. I really need to increase the size of my chat window so I can actually see what's going on. I moved all my monitors back. You know, I'm in a better place than yesterday. Absolutely, you got it, Michael C. Exclamation point code classroom will get you into the Google Classroom for Camp Code or Camp Cloud. Sorry, I'm gonna get my days mixed up. The Cloud Code too close together. But feel free to click the link. Feel free to hop in and join that classroom. Should work just fine. What's up, Alberry Ray? I did my best. Hey. Hope you're doing well tonight. All right, today it's just syllabus day like normal, but we'll also dive into the cloud. Again, just like yesterday, if you've taken previous cloud courses, today will feel if you've taken any of my previous courses, today will feel, you might have seen a lot of the things before. Just going to introduce myself, go over what we're going to be learning throughout the next 22 weeks, tell you a little bit about what to expect, and then we'll dive into cloud basics. This course is also different from the Horizons Apprentice course that we did before. It's different in that it will be more focused around cloud. We're going to focus on fewer AWS services. We're going to focus on AWS's core services, but you're going to know them more deeply. And we're going to spend more time engineering around them as well. So we'll spend more than one day hopping into something. A lot of the stuff we'll spend 2 weeks kind of learning about it, then labbing over it and hopping in and getting in deep, getting into the console, getting into the command line, learning some of that stuff, and getting really familiarized with some of these AWS services. So should be pretty dope. So let me pull up the slides. We'll get going in just a second. So there's also that register link. All the registration link does is just get you included into the mailing list. I'll send out an email once a week. The email will have the 3 courses that are currently running. If there's any more courses, it'll include those as well, but it'll give you the topics. There'll be an email sent out every Sunday that has, hey, here's what's going on for the week. Here are the topics, here are the days, here are the times. Times won't change, days won't change, but it's just a reminder. It also gives you a chance, if you're not taking another course and you want to hop in for that topic, you'll know what's going on. And, it should be pretty easy to do. What's up, Texas? 2010, need to learn AWS, but too tired to now. Don't worry about that at all. I completely understand. You got to get rest. Rest is super important, especially to your learning. This will be up on Twitch for 60 days. After we're done with it, it'll also go up on the YouTube channel. I'm creating a YouTube channel specifically for these replays. So that should be up tomorrow, and it should have yesterday's code class, and it'll have today's AWS class. Doing good. Can't complain at all. I also need a little bit of rest, but that's how it is. That's how it is. I'm happy to be here though. All right, so we're gonna get started so I can get you out of here quickly today, so we can rest up and get ready to learn a bunch next week. Come on, I can see my. I use a program called Synergy. I do stream off of 2 computers. And it has been weird. There we go. I gotta go slow here. Every time I try to bring my mouse down, when I mouse up, there's a monitor above my laptop, and my mouse is supposed to go in between these 2 computers seamlessly. It works most of the time. It works weird with multiple monitors, so I'm still trying to figure that out. Need a little bit of rest, maybe soap. I hope not to do much soap stuff in the future. It's a good tech joke, for sure. All right. Let me hop in here and let me hop into the slides. You can hit exclamation point slides if you want to just get the slides themselves, or you can go to the Google Classroom, and they should be available in the Google Classroom. And I'm going to go to Drive. Come on, mouse. Okay, you know what? I got this. Let me change this to be the left. There we go. If I change it to the left, does that work better? That works much better. All right. We're in there. We can get going. Let me get a look. Today I don't have any sparkling water. Well, I have this one from yesterday that I did not drink. It's a blackberry bubbly. I'm probably not going to drink it because now it's not cold anymore. I do have still water, nice and cold. I do have nitro brew coffee as well. Wake me up a little bit because I need it. Ready to go. I was having an issue with the slides coming up in the Google Classroom from camp. For which one? For this one or for the for Camp Code? I have tried Spindrift. I do think it's better. I did not buy this though, so I'm actually in my office right now. I did not purchase this. I have an office in a co-working space, and they provide bubbly for us. So I take what's free, but I do think Spindrift is a little bit better. The classroom is completely empty. Let's check it right now just to make sure I'm not tripping. Wrong one. Let's see. So let me check Camp Cloud. Let's make sure today's is good. All right, so there should be Camp Cloud. If you're in the Camp Cloud classroom, that should be pretty good. And let's check Camp Code really quick. Maybe that's the one that I did not do correctly, and it looks like that's the one I did not do correctly. Maybe I posted. That's weird. I feel like I clicked on this link, but okay, let me add it really quick. Week 1 slides. Let's go ahead and add it real fast, nice and easy. Make sure you have what you need when you need it for Camp Code. And let's make a topic called slides. There we go. So now you should have it. Yeah, it should be available in both of them now. Thanks for letting me know that. What's up, Francis Town? Flipping between me, Leon, Andres and me. I love Leon. I love Leon to death. I love it. I love it. Get what you need wherever you need it. We're all here to learn. Love it. All right. So Camp Cloud, someone else's computer. So we're going to be talking about what this class is going to be about, what we're going to do over the next 22 weeks. We'll go over the curriculum. And then we'll hop right into AWS. We'll hop right into the cloud. If you don't already have an account, we'll make an account today. We'll also set up billing alarms, save you money because it can cost you a lot of money, but we're going to get all of your questions answered. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will do my best to pay attention to what's going on in the chat and make sure I answer whatever you need. So again, if you saw this yesterday, I'm sorry that you have to sit through it again, but people need to know who they're learning from. My name is Aaron Brooks. You can call me Aaron. Completely fine with me. But my background is in DevOps engineering. I've been a technical lead. I've done software stuff. I write code, but infrastructure and DevOps and site reliability engineering, that's where I feel most comfortable. That's where I've been most of my career. So this cloud stuff is like home to me. And so yeah, so about 12 years of experience. There's some variations in there. There's some years where I had multiple full-time roles and stuff. So, different people calculate it different ways, but I've been in the industry for 12 years. I was born in 90. I'm a 90s baby. That's important because of, one, we're the best millennials ever. So I just want you to know that. And the jokes that I make, the things that I say, the things that I do, I'm just letting you know that's what drives me a little bit. That's the era that I'm in. I love cars and motorsports, love to race cars on tracks. It's, my leisure time activity is to go off on some back roads and do some drivings. I'm a gamer. I don't get to play any games anymore very much, but I'm always going to be a gamer at heart. I got a monster gaming PC. I have an Xbox. I haven't been able to snag a PS5 yet. I do have a Nintendo Switch as well. I play my Switch the most just because it's the easiest to kind of break out and get a quick game in. Yeah, I love movies. Love movies to death. Horror movies are my favorite. I often watch movies while I'm working. That's why I love the tech industry. It allows me to do exactly that. I prefer Android and Spotify over iOS and Apple Music. I do have an iPhone. iPads are the best tablets, though. Not an Apple hater. If I didn't build this monster computer, I would get a Mac Studio or whatever the new Mac Studio thing is. I would not an Apple hater at all, but I do prefer the Android operating system. And Spotify to iOS and Apple Music. Pancakes over waffles. French toast beats them both out. Dogs over cats every day. Do we need to request access to the classroom? You shouldn't need to. Let me click the classroom code link. You shouldn't. Maybe I need to change the setting really quick. It should allow you to just, when you click on it, you should be able to just click join class. It should bring it up and you should be able to join class, but let me check on that as well. Because maybe I need to change the settings there. Items, students can post. Yeah, it should work. When I click on it from my other account, I'm able to join class. Are people able to get in? Let's see if people are able to. Okay, we got people coming in. So you should be able to access it. Just go ahead and click that join button when you do click the link, and it should let you in. Pot Liquor, thank you so much for another sub. You've been around. The OG's been around for a long time. Wrong account. Your account can't access class. Switch to the correct account for classroom. Interesting. It may make you use a Google account, possibly. I'm not sure. It should work though. If not, you can hit !slides and get the slides for now, and then I can work with you. If you hop in the Discord, I can work with you to get that resolved. Or you can send me a whisper with your email address, and I can add you. I can have it send you an invite to be able to accept. All right, that's who I am. Now you know a little bit about me. Twitch, if you're not familiar with Twitch, if you're new to Twitch, if you came here just for this, to learn about this, Twitch is dope. Twitch is a streaming platform mainly for gaming. People do other things on here. You can find some weird stuff on here. If you're in a hot tub streaming and all that other stuff, you can find whatever you want on here. You can find people doing music, all kinds of stuff. But it's pretty dope. I like Twitch because it's pretty interactive. You can build a bunch of cool things to make your stream more interactive. Yeah, I just think it's a cool place to be. People always ask me, why not YouTube? Why not this? Why not that? Again, I think right now at least Twitch is, the interactivity of Twitch is a little bit better than Google's, what Google has to offer. I could stream to both, but then I would get confused with the chats, with multiple chats and things like that. I think that would be very confusing for me. And so, maybe one day in the future, who knows, I'll use whatever platform I feel is useful at the time. But yeah. So, methods of communication. If you're new to Twitch, you'll see people typing in these exclamation points with words after them. And what this is a chat command. These are commands you can issue in the chat. And what it'll do is it'll allow you to do some self-service, to get back information asynchronously from me. So right now, there's a lot of commands that are in there. There are a bunch that are outdated. But right now, some of the ones you can type in are exclamation point register, which will take you to the registration link to be, again, what you don't need to register for the course. What registration does is it gives you, it signs you up for the mailing list so that each week you'll get an update on what's going on with each class each week. It's also helpful for schedule changes and things like that. And so that's probably the best way to keep up to date with what's going on. I will not spam you. I will send you one a week. At the beginning of the week, you'll get exactly what's going on for the week, but you don't have to register if you don't want to. The next best place is Discord, exclamation point Discord. Discord is like Slack if you're unfamiliar. It's like Microsoft Teams. It's a chat place. Discord has some good integrations with Twitch actually. So we're using Discord for now. So you can join that and have a good time there. You can also at me at any of the social media stuff. All of my handles are Mastermind.io. Mastermind does not have an I in it, so it's Master MND.io. And Twitter's probably the best one. LinkedIn probably second best. IG definitely last. But you feel free to reach out to me there. I will be posting updates to these places as well. Or you can email at academy@mastermind.io. We're always behind. We are always behind on this email address. But we're getting caught up. So this will be the slowest response that you'll get, but we'll get there eventually. Do we get to see the recorded video after the class? Yes. So you can come here and see the recorded video after class for 60 days. It'll remain on Twitch, so you can watch it at any time. It'll also go on YouTube. There is a YouTube channel, so there's a link. I think there's the link. There should be a panel underneath the video that has a link to the YouTube channel. We're separating them. We used to post all of the stuff on that same YouTube channel. We're actually moving the recordings to its own YouTube channel. That should be set up by the end of today. I had it set up last night, but it needed some changes to to be able to do some things properly. But the uploads will go there instead. There will be a channel dedicated to replays for these videos, and so you'll be able to watch those. You'll be able to subscribe to that. I'll send it out probably. You'll see it next class. You'll get it in an email. I'll post it inside of Discord and socials and stuff as soon as everything is finalized. But that's where you can go to watch everything, but it will be available here as well. That's also the reason why you see the chat inside of the screen that you're watching. The reason the chat is there is because when people are going back and watching these things, you'd be surprised at how valuable the chat is. People are answering questions. People are asking questions that people didn't even know they really had. And sometimes I don't answer those things. Sometimes, you know, there's other things going on in the chat, and that can actually be pretty valuable to you later on. And that's why it's there. I want it to be recorded. I want it to be captured well. So, this is a base camp, okay? So just to let you know, if you're new to the Mastermind Academy system or class types, we used to have some things called, all of them were called journeys. And journeys were 8 to 12 week boot camps. And we had a apprentice level, which was the entry level. We had journeyman level, which was the intermediate, and we had master, which was the advanced level classes. Things have changed. Now we have base camp. Base camp is now the new introductory, foundational level series. It's much longer, and it goes much deeper. You will, at the end of the foundational course, you will have all of the tools that you need to be effective and to be useful. You'll know these concepts much more than you would have at the end of an apprentice level course. It's once a week, but you will get more, you will have more to do outside of class. We'll spend more time on a topic. We'll spend more than 1 week on a topic, which is nice. But you will have more things given to you, more resources given to you out of class. You'll have more opportunities to work on projects. Even in class, you'll have more opportunities to do hands-on things. It is designed to be much more hands-on than things that we've previously done. Hopefully that makes things stick a little bit more. But what do I want you to really take away from this? It's the exact same thing I want you to take away from Camp Code, minus the main topic. So I want you to have a very strong understanding of cloud computing, of what it is, of AWS and the concepts that surround them. So I really want you to understand these things. The reason why this is not, okay, so the coding class, we are learning Go in the coding course, but it is not a Go course. It is a software engineering and programming, fundamental programming concepts course. So no matter what language you use, these concepts will apply. The same thing goes here. It's a little bit different because we're going to be focusing on AWS's core services. So you're going to know some AWS core services really well, and you're going to know much more about AWS than any other cloud computing platform. But what we're learning here is not AWS. It's not an AWS course. It is a cloud computing course. It's hopefully going to help you understand how distributed computing works and how you can approach it. This will allow you, again, to much more easily move in between cloud providers and cloud services effectively. I want you to understand how to use cloud technology to solve problems. So once we kind of understand what this technology does, what purpose it serves, hopefully, we're going to spend time learning how to apply this technology to be able to solve real world problems. And I do want you to understand AWS and its uses. So there are some things specific to AWS. I want you to understand when, where, and how you can use it effectively. Secondary, I really want you to understand how to approach learning new concepts and technologies. If you want a career in tech, if you don't already have a career in tech, because if people don't know, you may be a complete beginner. There's other people on here who've been software developers for a long time and they haven't learned anything about the cloud, so they're here learning that. There's people who've been in the industry for a long time, but there's people of all skill levels here. But what you need to do to be able to do these things effectively is learn how to learn new concepts and technologies well and be comfortable in doing that. So for most people, it's going to be a little bit of a journey. What's up? I'm Zasher. Good to see you. So we're going to be spending time learning how to do that. I want you to learn how to be at peace, being confused or lost. This is going to be much better. If you're taking both courses, you will be less lost here. I almost promise you, you'll be less lost in the cloud computing course than you will be in the coding course. The coding course is much more abstract. The concepts are much deeper, I feel, in the coding course. I think this is a little bit more straightforward. There are actually some things to memorize here and to work with. You can get hands-on a little bit faster here, but you will be confused at times. You will be lost at times. And I need you to work on getting very comfortable in that, because it's completely normal and it will never go away. You just got to learn how to operate in it. I want you to realize that nobody knows it all. The more and more you think about how much there is to know, the more scary and debilitating it can be. No one knows it all. No one knows it all. We're not going to be developers here, but we will talk about T-shaped development and T-shaped developers, and kind of having an understanding of how much information you do need to know and what you should focus on. But no one knows it all, and you shouldn't expect to know it all. I want you to have a very strong belief that tech is for you and that you can thrive in it, because it's 100% true. Even if you find out throughout this class that cloud computing isn't for you, even if you find out through the code class that code isn't for you, even if you find out through the DevOps course on Thursdays that DevOps isn't for you, there's a space in technology. Technology is a growing field, ever-growing field. It's going to be popular well into the future, but there's space here for you. There's lots of different roles. There's non-technical roles in technology. So tech's for you. There's a place for you. You got to find it. And then I want you to learn how to use memes correctly, because I'm a millennial and that's how we express ourselves. And I want you to be able to express yourself as well. Working in software is committing to a life of learning, and yes, and love it. And you love it. Aspen, 100%. Software, technology, you are committing to a life of learning. One that can be very, very lucrative. We'll talk about salaries and things today as well. But 100%, it is a lifetime of learning. You'd be surprised at how easy it gets. The more and more you learn, the better and better you'll realize how you learn best, and it'll be much easier for you to pick up new concepts and things pretty quickly. And it's a pretty dope side effect of the tech industry. It was daunting. There were times when it's been pretty daunting. Now, I've done it so many times where I really know what works for me, and I can pick up new concepts, new technologies very, very quickly because of it. And I really do like that. All right. You see what you expect to see. What do we expect to see? You're only going to get it out of this class what you put into it. So be as active as you can. Hop into Discord, chat, talk, ask questions in chat, answer people's questions. So one, definitely ask questions. No question is a stupid question. Make sure you get your question answered. I will miss some questions in the chat. Ask it again. Hopefully I see it. I'm going to do my best to keep up with the questions that are happening. Ask in Discord. If I don't get to it, make sure you keep that question written down. Ask it in Discord. Reach out to somebody specific. Shoot me an email. Send it to me on Twitter. Ask on Twitter. Ask the question live on Twitter and let someone else answer it. But yes, ask as many questions as you need to get you through a topic. Also, answer as many questions as you can. Even if you don't know the answer, this will help cement. Even if you're not sure of the answer, say, hey, not 100% sure, but I really think it's this. It's okay to try to answer a question or help point people in the right direction. Feel free to share anything that you've learned. It's okay. Even if you don't know, say, hey, I came across this article. It seems like this is important. Maybe check this out. Maybe it'll help you. That's good. Interact with each other. Check out all of the supplied resources each week. Everything will drop either right after class or the next morning inside of Google Classroom. So you'll have a whole week to hop through those things. Everything will be helpful. Everything is going to be useful for getting you through this course. I want you to spend at least 5 hours out of the week learning outside of this boot camp, watching videos, finding random things, just researching on your own, seeing what you can find, exploring. It's going to help you a lot. And then let people know what you're doing. Affirmations of progress. This is, get social with it. You don't have to put any hashtag masterminds around, but it is about you letting people know what you're doing and talking about the things that you're doing. Hey, wow, I just learned what EC2 was, and I'm really understanding it. Dope. Like let people know that you're making progress. Talk to people about it. It really does. It will help you keep going when things get tough. What's up, Muan? Good to see you. Welcome. What's up, DB Clicks? Good to see you. What's up, Ganta? The thing that holds me from studying AWS cloud stuff is not having a credit card. Basically, every cloud platform requires it. Ganta, this is a real barrier. 100%. I completely understand that. There's a few things that we can do throughout. It's definitely more helpful if you do have a credit card, but there are plenty of ways you can learn it without it. I'm actually working with, I have a couple contacts from AWS and from Azure. I've actually been working with a few people. Azure's a little bit closer to giving me credits, but I'm trying to figure out a way to give you all credits and figure out ways to make this thing happen. Yeah. So Ganta, if you do have a bank account, there's some things you can do. There's privacy.com that'll allow you to kind of generate these credit cards and, but if not, no big deal. There's still tons you can learn. There's also something when we get to the engineering portions of this stuff, there's something called local cloud. I think that's what it's called. Local stack, not local cloud. It's called local stack, which actually simulates AWS's APIs and stuff. So all of the things that we do programmatically, and that's where the real money's at, you can actually do from your own machine. And so we'll talk about that as well, but you are correct. That is something that we'll talk about tonight. It is a barrier, but I'm hoping we can get you around that barrier. All right, let's talk about the curriculum. What are you going to actually be learning over the next 22 weeks? Well, Camp Cloud curriculum. So today's again syllabus day. We're talking about what the class is like, what you're going to be learning. But we'll dive right into AWS. We'll dive directly into cloud computing. You'll know what the cloud is by the end of today. We'll dive directly into AWS. We'll talk about what it is. We'll talk about their global infrastructure, the global architecture, all those things. And we're going to set up a billing alarm so that you can save, so that you can not get hit with any money. This course is designed to cost you no money. Okay? AWS does require that you use a credit card to sign up, a credit card or bank card to sign up. AWS has a number they have a lot of free tiers for their services because they know people need to learn. They know people need to get in and test things out. And so it's designed around to be completely free. But as you're learning, you can make mistakes. There are some things that could go wrong. And so we're going to set up billing alarms where you can be alerted immediately if the estimated charges on your account are going to be over a certain amount. You can set a threshold of $3 or $5, whatever, to make sure that you don't have to pay any money. I'm going to be very cognizant of this, and I'm going to be really working with you and telling you to do things to keep yourselves from being from getting in trouble cost-wise. Luckily, AWS knows these things happen. The support is great. If there is something that should happen, I've definitely run up a $1,000 charge before, not really forgetting to turn off a service that I was learning, and they were like, "Cool, no problem," and they credited my account. Don't do it too much. They won't do it all the time, but they definitely understand. But we'll put things in place to hopefully keep us from running into any issues. Then we're going to spend time on the core AWS services. So we'll spend a week with IAM, with Identity and Access Management. This is the who and the what. Like, how do you access AWS? How do you control access to resources? How do you control access to things inside of AWS? That's what we'll talk about next week. Then we'll speak 2 weeks with EC2. This is kind of the main core component of AWS. It's probably what most people are thinking about when they think of cloud computing. And so we'll spend 2 weeks with that. The first week learning the ins and outs. The second week doing a couple of AWS labs, multiple AWS labs, learning a few things. You're going to learn some command line stuff. You're going to learn all kinds of stuff over these 2 weeks. We'll learn about scalability and what it means to be able to serve content, or what it takes to be able to serve content, to many, many people reliably. So that's always a good one. Yes, this is all happening through Twitch, all of it. Then we'll spend some time learning about CloudWatch and how you can kind of see what's going on a little bit more, how to get metrics, how to make dashboards, things like that. We'll obviously spend time with S3. This is intro to S3. We're gonna go through S3 relatively quickly because you can actually, like, S3 is super popular, super important to learn, but we should be able to get through it in just a week. We're going to be doing lab stuff in this day as well. Spend time with CloudFront, learn how to, again, serve to many people. We'll spend time learning about the web and how it works and different protocols, learning about, SSL and TLS and how, how to deliver certificates inside of Amazon and things like that, how to terminate TLS. We'll spend time with databases, so you'll learn a little bit about databases, relational data, and NoSQL. We'll learn about NoSQL later down here. VPCs, very important. Not gonna lie to you, this will probably be the most difficult week for most people because this is going to also introduce a number of programming fundamentals, and I find that networking fundamentals, and I find that networking stuff is always harder for people than I expect it to be, but completely understandably. It took me, I've been in the industry for a long time. Networking is one of my weaker, comparatively, it's one of my weaker skill sets, but we're gonna do some basic networking so that you can understand what's going on with VPCs. Then we'll hop into SQS and SNS, do some more NoSQL Dynamo stuff. And then after that, we're gonna spend a bunch of time, like, this is really the bigger engineering portion, like all of these things. This is basically going to be learning on like one big project. Like the last 6-7 weeks is going to be learning enough pieces to do kind of a nice distributed application project infrastructure type thing. And it should be pretty fun. And it should help you understand better how to use AWS. I think you'll feel good. I think you'll feel good enough by the end of this to be able to hop in anywhere you need to in AWS. You'll know enough about interacting with the AWS API and using the command line and hopping into the console to get things done. I can help with networking if you want. Coding with Sean. Code with Sean. I'll take it. Like I said, I'm certainly not awful at networking. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's kind of the one thing I've been able to not be amazing at, and I've been able to get around just fine, fortunately. But I know it's definitely one of my weak points. Like if I had to select my weakest, especially if you're like DevOps and site reliability engineering stuff, networking is definitely my weakest category, I think. If I just pass Solutions Architect Associate and looking through portfolio AWS project, what matters as a minimal baseline of competency for DevSecOps? From labs and reference labs, but I don't know. So this is interesting. The project portfolios, a project portfolio is really for you. It's for you and your ability to be able to talk about what you've done and to give you a chance to provide some context around using these services. It's easy to say this is how you use this thing, but the hard part is gaining context and understanding why the heck I would actually use these things. You're telling me one scenario, but I don't really know what that looks like in the real world. One, congratulations if you did just pass your Solutions Architect Associate. Great job. I think Grafana Labs, I've never done anything with Prom Labs, but Grafana Labs seems to be good stuff. Again, keep it to, I don't think you don't need to know every single AWS service at all. You don't need to have done projects with every single one. Focus on the core services, focus on the EC2s and the S3s and the SNS, SQS, RDS, DynamoDB, the things that we're going to be going over. Focus on those and do projects with those. Again, once you realize AWS's ethos, once you see how these services are interconnected and how AWS expects you to use them, it gets much easier. But those projects are for you to be able to speak about what you've done. No one's going to be like, oh, let me see this project that you did. They're going to say, oh, cool, I see that you did this thing. Talk to me about it. What were the tough pieces? What were the weird things? What problems did you run into? What was confusing about it? That's what's more important. I can help explain security groups. NACLs, TCP IP. Hey, I'm with it. 100% with it. your weaker points are stronger than most people's strong points. That's true. But I've been doing this a long time. I spend a lot of time learning because it's something that's important to me. But I'll throw this out there now. My motivation, everyone has different motivations for doing the stuff. I learn things that I learned mostly when I needed to learn them so that I could get the money that I wanted, so that I could do the things that I wanted to do with my life. I've been in tech for a long time. I think tech is dope. But I'm not necessarily a lover of, I love DevOps so much. I love programming so much. That's not me. There are people that are like that. You got to find a thing that drives you. But yes, that is very true. My weaker points are stronger than a lot of people's strong points. But again, I've spent time developing those over the years. They're also for how long I've been in the game, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm probably a very average engineer for how long I've been in the game. And I'm okay with that. I'm completely okay with that because again, I've been able to support the lifestyle that I want to live. I've been able to create opportunities for myself, and it's been great. Tech really is a life-changing place to be. There's always opportunity. There's been times where I hated a job so much that I quit, and I had a job within 3 days making more money. And that doesn't happen in a lot of industries. It doesn't happen in a lot of industries, but this is a space where you having these skills is so important. It's so needed. Companies need you so badly. And they're willing to give you so much to be there without any real credentials. I'm hoping that you find this stuff interesting enough to stick with it, so that, it can be life-changing for many people. It really can be life-changing for a lot of people. It's been great for me. You don't even need to be good, which is crazy. Like you don't even need to be that good. People are just, every company's a tech company now. And there's just not enough people to fill the roles. And so they're looking for anyone who has any knowledge about this stuff to fill the positions and become useful on their team, because it makes companies a lot of money. It saves companies a lot of money. Are there a ton of junior cloud computing positions? In comparison to developer positions, yes. There are a surprising amount of junior cloud engineering positions, for sure. There are lots of roles. You also don't need I think cloud is one of the spaces where you don't necessarily need to step into a junior role. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. What's up, Trizzy? Let me try this again. Trizzy's busy. Welcome. Thank you for stopping through. I really do appreciate it. I don't want to be a service manager forever. Yeah, but it allows me to, yes. Everything that's going on. Yeah, 100%. 100%. $512 is fine. All right. So let's see. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna be spending time on over the next few weeks. So that's the boring stuff. That's the very, very boring stuff. Now we can actually get into the things that are meaningful. Again, focus on the concepts here. Yes, if you do want to, there's going to be some more memorization here than there will be with something like the coding course. But what you want to understand is things conceptually. Again, tech is a space where, unlike being a lawyer or unlike being a doctor, where you have to go pass certain classes, pass a special test that affirms that you are certified to do this thing. Tech isn't like that. That's a good thing and a bad thing. That can make it a little bit more annoying. It can make it more difficult throughout the interview process because there's no standardized way to prove that you know the things that you know. But it also means that you don't need to go to school. You don't need to have a degree. You don't need to have any real credentials to be able to work in these roles. It's about your ability to prove to an employer that you know these things. And so while we're learning, we're all used to focusing on the whats. We're all used to focusing on, I'm going to learn a thing and I'm going to do that thing. We're going to spend time learning about these things conceptually. We're going to be thinking larger about what's going on. We're going to understand these things at their core, so that we can have conversations about them. I highly encourage you to find someone who's learning these things. Talk to someone in Discord, hop on a voice call in Discord, and just speak through the things that you learned through over the week. Or at the end of the week, or at the end of class, just out loud reiterate the things that you heard, the things that you learned. Your ability to be able to speak about these things is super duper important. But while we're going through, focus on the concepts first. It's easy to memorize the what's later on. Conceptually, that's where we want to spend most of our time focusing on. And so I'll try to highlight that through every time we get to a new concept. But yeah, so what the heck is the cloud? We're finally here. What the heck is the cloud? Well, the cloud is a distributed networked computing resources. That probably means nothing to anybody. We're going to talk about what computing resources are in just a second, but focus on the words. What does, and so for the next couple weeks, you're going to see me use, I have this Wacom tablet that I don't really know how to use well. It's super weird. And so I'm going to be using it even when it doesn't make sense to use it, so that I can get comfortable using it, so that we can really use it when I really need to use it. But the words here are distributed. I didn't underline that well at all. And networked. These are the separations, computing resources. So distributed means separated. Means one over here, one over here, one over here, one down here, one over here. So it's talking about things not being in the same location. So, but they're going to end up acting as one. So one, just in your mind, know that these computing resources are in different places. They're not always in the same place. Networked, so they're in different places, but they can talk to each other. All right, in different places, but they can talk to each other. They have the ability to speak to each other and to communicate with each other. And then computing resources. These are things like CPU and RAM and storage. You'll understand what those computing resources are. So they're just separated in the world, and they can speak to each other. Is there a Google Classroom for the Camp Cloud? Yes, ! Cloud Classroom. ! Cloud Classroom will give you the one for Camp Cloud. And then we have on demand. All right, so the cloud is on demand when you need to. On demand access without direct active management by the user. So this is where another company, a platform, manages the thing, and you have access to it whenever you want to have access to it. When you need access to it, you can gain access to it. These are the main tenets of what makes it cloud computing. So again, distributed means separated. Networked, they can talk to each other. They have the ability to communicate with each other. Computing resources, we're about to talk about that. And that they're on demand. You have on demand access to them without any active management directly by the user. So you don't have to worry about managing these things. It's mostly done for you. We'll talk about what that means as well. But on demand is the big piece there. All right. 100%. GLaDOS does wish it was in the cloud for sure. Everyone does. Okay. So cool. Those computing resources that we're talking about here, those network computing resources, what are computing resources and what do they do? So these are, one, they're called resources. So these are the things that make up a computer, and they're called resources mostly because they're depletable. You can use them up. And so the main one is the CPU. You've probably heard of this before. The CPU. This is the main brain of the computer, the central processing unit. This is the thing that does. The computations. This is the thing that crunches the numbers. Okay. And so in your computer, if you've ever heard of, oh, my laptop or my computer has an i3 in it, an i5 in it, a i7 or Pentium processor, or if you're into Macs and you have a new M1 chip, that's the CPU. That's the central processing unit. For Macs, it's a little bit different. It's called SoC. For a lot of things, it's a little bit different now. But the CPU is the brain of the computer. It's what does the processing. And the more powerful the processor, the more numbers you can crunch, the more computations you can do. We talked about this yesterday in Camp Code, but if you've ever been trying to buy a computer and they say, hey, this computer has an i5 with a 3.8 gigahertz clock speed, and it can turbo boost up to 4.2. Those gigahertz are clock speeds for the amount of times it can do some work. And one gigahertz is 1 billion processes per second. So if you have 4 gigahertz, that means your computer can do 4 billion processes a second. And the way that these computers work, they have multiple cores, multiple threads, and so they're actually able to do a massive amount of work. But it costs electricity, it costs money, it costs things to make this thing happen. So it's a resource of the computer. You can overload your processor. You can provide your processor with too many things to do and make your computer slow. And so compute is going to be a resource that we can rent from the cloud. RAM. You probably heard of RAM. How much RAM does your computer have? Well, RAM stands for Random Access Memory, and this is used for the temporary storage of data. So a lot of your computers might have 8 gigs of RAM, some maybe have 4. Your phones actually have tons of RAM nowadays. Your phone might have 4, 8, 6 gigs of RAM. Your computers might have 4, 8, 12, maybe more gigs of RAM. But what it's used is for the temporary storage of data. What this actually is, the more memory you have, is your CPU. Your CPU does the hard number crunching. The place that it receives the data from is actually RAM. So when you want something to happen, it kind of gets temporarily saved onto these RAM sticks, and it gets passed off to the processor to be processed, and results can go back to RAM, things like that. Things get temporarily saved there so that you can make things on your computer happen. And again, this is temporary. And temporary meaning like seconds or maybe minutes. It's often not very long lived. The average life cycle of a piece of data on a RAM stick is pretty darn short. It's also volatile memory. So unlike your hard drive, if you shut off your computer, all the data in your RAM actually goes away. You lose it. But most of the time you don't care about that. You don't save files to RAM. That's not what you do. That's what file system things are held in a different place, a more permanent storage location. But RAM is something that it's also a resource that you can run out of. The more RAM you have, if you have a super powerful processor, but not enough RAM, the RAM, like I said, can feed the processor with information. And so if you don't have enough information to hold on the RAM, if your RAM can't hold everything that you need, you might be wasting your processor speed, or vice versa. If you have too much RAM and a slower processor, you might not need that much RAM, but RAM helps you to be able to process things faster. So the more you have, maybe the better, but it's going to help you be able to process more things more quickly. Hard drives. This is permanent storage. And so there's a lot of different types of hard drives, which we'll actually talk about in the S3, in the EC2 portion, because we'll talk about EBS, but you'll learn a lot about storage in this class. But unlike RAM is temporary volatile storage. Hard drives store data even after the machine is turned off. This is persistent storage, persistent data. This is where you store your files to. This is where your operating system lives. So your Mac or your Windows, it's installed on a hard drive. It used to be like this image. This image is old. This is a magnetic disk, a spinning platter hard drive, and these are the slowest. People don't really use these in computers anymore. Now we use solid state drives. This is a hard drive, and they're much faster, much more reliable. But hard drives are where permanent storage goes. And this is something that this is a computing resource that you can rent from cloud providers. Video cards, I just threw this in here because you probably won't do much with this in the cloud, unless you're doing like machine learning stuff or data stuff. You probably won't have a need for this. But video cards or graphics cards, graphics processors. This is another piece of the computer, so that you can see stuff on the screen. Your computer actually has something in the computer that's handling graphics. There are some computers that it has internal graphics where the CPU is actually offloading that and handling that. So it gets a little bit weird in there. But a graphics processing unit, a GPU, will allow you to be able to render images out to the screen. It also, because of the way that it processes data, is actually really, really, really good for a number of types of normal processing when it needs to do a lot of things serialized. That's why Bitcoin miners and things use GPUs. That's why data scientists, that's why machine learning, GPU is the type of processing unit that it needs to be able to work most efficiently, just due to the way that it processes things. But this is, again, another type of compute capacity that you can rent from the cloud. Platter drives are for large storage. SSDs still need a few years to catch up. Yes, if you, it depends on what type of scale we're talking about. For the average user, even even like SATA SSDs, like 2.5-inch SATA SSDs, are cheap enough now where I think it still makes sense to do large storage things on. I would still go that route, because they're so much faster, like so much faster. But yeah, I mean, you are 100% right. You can get a gigantic platter drive for almost no money. But yeah, there'll always be a place for it. 100%. I mean, tape drives, yes, exactly. Tape drives are still a thing. There will always be a place for all of the storage things that we do right now. Tape still makes sense for a lot of things. Archival makes perfect sense for. I don't see a reason why people aren't using tape. But yeah, for most personal computing, go SSDs are the way to go. Splurge a little bit. Don't storage is storage is probably the single biggest upgrade you can make to your computer for most people. If you have an older, slow, your computer's super slow, if your computer is taking longer than 20 seconds to boot up, you can probably save yourself so much time by switching to an SSD, and your computer will feel brand new to you again. But you know, all right, so there are a few more computing resources, but those are the main ones. CPU, which is the brain of the computer, that does the number crunching, the real processing. RAM, storage, so persistent storage, hard drive space, and GPU, graphics processing, video cards. And so those are the computing resources that can be distributed in different places, and they can be networked together to do certain things. So we're going to talk about the old way of doing things, and I can actually draw things right here. What did we do before the cloud? How did things work before the cloud? Well, here's what would happen. I would have I use this one all the time, but I'm gonna keep using it. Let's say I opened up a shoe store. Okay? I opened up a shoe store and I made a website. Okay, I made my little website. That website, for you to get it, it must be placed on a computer that has software on it that allows it to serve content over the internet. That is called a server. That's why it's called a server, because it serves content over the internet, over web protocols, over a network. So I would I would have my store, and it would be on a server like this, and I would rent it. Okay, whoa. Okay. I don't know how to stop. Oh, okay. I didn't know how to stop it from doing what it was doing. Like I said, I'm new to this Wacom tablet. All right, perfect. Okay, so this is my server. And before, the old way, I have to rent this or buy it. Let's say I bought it. Let's say I purchased it. And let's say I already owned it. Let's say I already had this computer. I bought it, and it would have a certain amount of resources. So let's say it would have something like a 2-core CPU. It would have something like 8 gigabytes. I'm just gonna write gigs of RAM. And it would have something like 250 gigabytes of storage. All right. So again, these resources are used to serve this data. So when a request comes in, if someone came to my shoe store, that request will be processed, and it would take up some of those CPU core cycles, and it would take up a little bit of RAM to process my request, to be able for them to be able to see the thing they're trying to request. And the image that was this shoe, let's say I had a couple of images of the shoes the person was trying to buy, it will be taking up some storage space permanently. And as more and more people access these things, the computer has to work harder. The computer needs more power to work harder. And so, this does me, this system does me well for a while. And then my shoe store is so great that I get put onto the Ellen DeGeneres show. And, I know people, Ellen's kind of been canceled, but again, I don't really watch daytime TV or talk shows. So Ellen is the only person I can still think of that she would go on their show. Maybe Kelly Clarkson. Is that better? The Kelly Clarkson show? Great. You get on a show and they talk about your shoe store, and now your stuff is super popular. What would happen is a bunch of people, yo, Vape Juice Jordan. So the people who are new to Twitch, if you don't know, a raid, which we just got from Vape Juice Jordan, is a raid when someone is streaming and they're all done and they decide to bring their audience over to someone else's channel. Welcome, raiders. I'll give people a few seconds to get in. Most of them probably have been hit with ads right now. But one, let me give a shout out to Vape Juice Jordan, who is a dope programmer, super duper smart. If you want to learn, if you want to go see someone build some cool things, also be very, very entertained, Vape Juice Jordan is the place to go. Good to see you. I was on Ustream the other day, so it was pretty dope as well. But shout out to Vape Juice Jordan. Thanks for coming through. Welcome all of the vapors. Welcome to the channel. I lost my pen there. Welcome, come on in. We are learning about AWS. We're diving into the cloud for the very first time. So come on through. This is the first day of a 22-week boot camp. If you're interested in the cloud, it'll be every single Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, come on through. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And again, Mr. Jordan, welcome. Good to see you. You probably already got out of here, but I appreciate the raid as always. All right, so the old way, Ellen would say, hey, your site is great and people will start to go to it, and eventually this would get used up. You would basically use up the server, and it wouldn't be able to process all the requests that were coming in, and then bad things would happen. For you to now be able to serve, let's say Ellen made you get 100,000 new clients. The way that you would be able to serve them now is you would have to go to Dell or HP, and you would have to spend a bunch of money to order a server. You'd have to guess at how much compute capacity you would need, and you would have to shell out a bunch of money. We're talking about thousands of dollars. You don't know how many servers you need, but you have to order them. And once you order them, it take weeks. Let's say it took 3 weeks for your stuff to come in, and it took $20,000 for you to order what you needed. The whole time, your site is basically limping along this whole time. And then when it gets there, you've got to go set it all up. So you've got to install software, and you got to get it hooked up to power, and you got to get it hooked up to the network, and you got to get everything configured. And then once everything is going, you don't know if you have enough. You probably don't know if you have enough. Okay. Oh yeah, permissions, purchase order, all that stuff, but you don't know if you have enough. You really don't. But let's say you do have enough, and everything's good to go. So you spend a bunch of money, you got everything going, and then what would happen is a couple of weeks go by. Let's say maybe let's say there's eight weeks later. 8 weeks later, now those 100,000 clients, they've purchased their shoes. Now you're only getting let's say you're getting 150 people buying stuff per day, 150 users now. Now you have $20,000 plus worth of servers, of system space that's costing you money, that's being under or not utilized at all, and you had to put out that money to make it happen. And it took a very, very long time for you to be able to serve those people. You can't give the stuff back. You own it now. You got to manage it. You've got to upgrade it. You've got to make sure that it's patched. You have to take care of it. You've got to have a space for it. And not to mention, it's costly to be able to serve things over the internet. You have to have an internet connection with enough upload speed to be able to deliver to all these people. You must have enough power in your house or wherever to be able to handle these systems, these servers. These servers are loud. They make a lot of noise. You got to have a space for them as well. And so this is how it used to be. You guess, you hope you're right, and it was slow. It was slow to get to where you needed to be. You could, during this time, the old way, you could rent these things. You could rent systems from people, but you still had to do maintenance. You still had to do configuration. And usually you were in some type of contract as well, some type of long-term contract. And even though you could rent immediately, all this stuff would take time. So it wouldn't be as on demand as we're about to learn about how the cloud is. Uptime is a big concern as well. It didn't solve a lot of the scalability problems. It didn't make it so that it didn't make it easy for you to be able to serve to many people and make it fault tolerant and make sure that people could always access what they needed access to. So data centers, yes, you would having access to a data center or would be helpful if you want to do some type of co-location. That would be helpful. And so this is an archaic process. Like, this is expensive, archaic. It's a rough way to work. And I worked with systems during this time. It was tough. Even if you were renting server space from people, it took a long time to be able to add capacity to your systems. So that's the old way. That's before the cloud. This is how things were done. It's just how we operated. Okay. I'm gonna screenshot this. Anyone know how to screenshot on Windows 11? I'm just gonna do snipping tool. I'll upload these to what's the thing called? Windows keys S. Hold on. Let me. Oh, that didn't. Windows Shift S. Ooh, there we go. Thank you. I'll upload things that I draw like this. I will upload into the Google Classroom at the end of the class. So perfect. That's the old way. What about the new way? Okay, now that we have the cloud, how do things work? Well, no longer do you need to do that. Let's say you still have your shoe store. And right now you have it running on a little tiny server. Remember, this is still your server and it's got a certain amount of capacity. Now, because of the cloud, one, you don't need to own this thing at all, and the cost is relatively cheap. With the cloud, you generally only pay for usage. You only pay for what you provision, what you use. And so what happens is you still go on Ellen, and everyone, you get plus 100,000 users. What you can do now is on demand, essentially instantly. It will take a little bit of time, but the time we're talking about is minutes. It's minutes if you have things set up correctly. But now you can take this thing and you can multiply it. You can add a bunch more servers just like this on demand. You can add more compute. So you can add more compute capacity. So that's CPU. I can add more RAM so that can serve more people. And if I need to, I can add more storage easily. And I can add exactly what I need. And even if I don't know how much I need, I can auto scale. And I can have Amazon or Azure or Google be able to scale the services up for me to be able to meet the demand. So if I have, 10 million people, it'll scale to enough servers to handle 10 million people. And we're gonna talk about elasticity. But when we're done, when we don't need this demand anymore, when we only have 1,000 people, we can have it scale back down to one service or to one server, which is super duper helpful. And again, we have instant access to these things. When we want a server, with a click of a few buttons, I can have access to whatever I need. Genuinely, from my computer right now, I could spin up an application and I could spin up enough resources to serve it to millions of people with a click of a few buttons. Genuinely, I could do that right now. Amazon gives me that power. AWS gives me that power. Azure gives me that power. Now you gotta have the money to do it. It is costly. It can be costly. We'll talk about cost. People will tell you all the time, switch to the cloud, it's cheaper. Not always true. But I have access to Amazon's data centers. That's basically what Amazon's doing. They're saying, hey, we have data centers that are running all the time, doing these things for our own stuff. How do we make more money off of it? Well, the way we make money off of it is to sell it to you, to have you rent compute cycles, to have you rent RAM usage, to have you rent storage space. You pay for it when you use it, and when you're done, you give it back, and then we can rent it out to somebody else. And so it's, you use what you want when you need it, and when you don't need it, you give it back until you need it again later on. But there are a bunch of services, there are a bunch of things where you can rent different computing resources, different combinations of computing resources. Maybe you don't need RAM. well, you probably need compute basically always goes with RAM, but maybe you just need storage. Maybe I just need compute with RAM. Maybe I don't need any storage at all. Maybe I just need, one piece of this. I can rent what it is that I need when I need it. Not only that, I can rent a bunch of different types of things. So maybe I'll rent some squares. Maybe I'll rent some circles. Maybe I'll rent some triangles. And you can network them all together so they all are talking to each other and they all can speak to each other and work together as you need it. So, but again, the big word here is on demand. Not only that, geographically, I can place these things wherever it makes sense for me and my users. I may be in the US, but maybe my main audience, maybe the product that I sell, the thing that I've created, my users, maybe they're in Japan. Maybe they're in Australia. Maybe they're somewhere else around the world. And so if I want their experience to be best, I want to be able to have systems. I want to be able to have resources that are geographically closer to them. That's something else that you can do with the cloud as well. So no longer is there waiting. You've reduced waiting to basically zero. You've been given the ability to automatically meet the demand of your users. You've been given the ability to have access to things that you may never have had access to before the cloud. That the amount of computing power that's at your fingertips now is absolutely absurd. And it's helpful. It can be helpful for you to be able to do big things, but it's not without cost. This really can cost you a lot of money. So be careful, and we'll talk about how to be careful. All right. Does that happen with iPhone applications? What do you mean? I missed where you asked in that clip. What were we talking about? Does what happen with iPhone applications? I remember the days when you had to rack and stack actual boxes. Absolutely. So I'm from the rack and stack days, just so y'all know. I'm from rack and stack days, but I actually do a little bit of rack and stacking now, which is weird. I've worked at a data center. So the cloud, it really is just someone else's computer. You don't have to manage it. AWS is managing it for you. You only need to just utilize the parts of it that you need. And data centers really look, they don't look this clean usually, but they are just literally warehouses of servers stacked and networked together. And this is what you are renting from a cloud service provider. You're renting a piece of one of these systems. It's running software, and you're able to utilize, they're very, very powerful, and you're renting, a piece of what they have to offer. You can make a lot of money doing this too. Even, there are people who don't know much about the cloud, but work with systems like this every day. If you're someone who likes hardware, you like dealing with hardware, you like dealing with actual, networks and stuff, running cables and stuff. Maybe you want to be a data center technician or data center admin. Certainly something to look into. I don't like it because you have to, lift stuff, and I've become very lazy these days. But there's a lot of money there as well. I do rack and stack, but for AV, yeah. On-prem servers, yes. On-prem stuff, for sure. All right. Let's keep moving so I can get you out of here so we can actually get into the actual AWS stuff that we're about to get into. Today's a lot of information. The rest of the days won't be, today is probably the most sheer information heavy day. The rest of the days, because we'll be focusing on a specific smaller topic, I won't be going so fast, and we won't have to cram in as much information. Tracing cables is a pain. If you run them right originally, it's great, but that usually doesn't happen. Usually you're trying to get stuff done fast. Tracing cables can be, it can be tough. All right. So we talked about the new way. Cloud computing vendors, AWS, Amazon Web Services is Amazon. It's Amazon. The one on the left here is Azure, is Microsoft Azure. And right here is Google Cloud Platform. There are many, many other cloud providers. These are the big three. So why are we working with AWS? Simply because AWS has the biggest market share. Okay, they have the biggest market share. Azure has a large market share as well. This graph is a bit different now. Azure, I think, has grown in market share, but it's still pretty true. Amazon is still way out in front. What that means is there are there are more jobs. There are simply more jobs for Amazon versus any other cloud provider. That does mean there's a little bit more competition as well. This is what people learn first, but I think it's still the right choice. I think it's still the right choice. I find that there, are a lot of Azure jobs as well, but in my experience, the Azure jobs I don't see a lot of entry-level Azure jobs. I don't see a lot of early career Azure jobs. I see a lot of people, when they want Azure people, they want, I want the pro Azure person, but I find all kinds of levels of Amazon Web Services jobs out there. So, if you want to learn different clouds, completely fine to do so. Again, I think conceptually, once you learn what you learn in this course, I think it'll be relatively easy to switch over to a new cloud provider. Money. I took this screenshot maybe 2 years ago. It's probably very similar. And again, where you live, this is different. This is specifically for the United States. I think this is very true. In fact, I think the numbers might be a little bit higher. I think these are average salaries for someone who knows for someone who knows cloud stuff. Cloud administrators, cloud engineers, I think can easily make this much money. Your entry level won't make this much, obviously, but I mean, seriously, entry level cloud stuff you can make anywhere between 60 and 90. And I think this is, once you have 1 year of experience, 1 or 2 years of experience, I think you absolutely can expect over 6 figures in the United States. And once you get to that mid-level range, that 2 to 5 years of experience space, I think that a lot of the roles are well within this salary range right here. And I think once you really start to gain some expertise, you can make substantially more money than this, relatively easily. I think if you have 5 quality years in, 5-6 quality years in, and you really know your stuff, well over 150. And like, I think it's relatively easy to get. If you really want to fight for stuff, I think you can make well over 200. If you're looking, you really know your stuff, you're willing to interview hard, you can find there's a lot of money out there, and there are lots of jobs that will pay you this. There are many of them. We'll talk about how to find them, but just showing, if you weren't sure what people could make, I'm telling you 100%, I help get people hired. I see these salaries for people with, again, just 2 or 3 years of experience, people in the 120s, 130s, 140s, pretty consistently right now. And I think salaries will still go up. I think we're still on the rise. I don't think we've plateaued yet for tech salaries. And there'll just be more and more people who are needing these things. More and more people are switching to the cloud. All right. So that's a little bit about AWS, why we're going to use it. And now we're going to talk about creating an AWS account. So I actually don't know if this command still works. So let's find out. Okay. So it literally takes you to the AWS free tier account. And so let's talk about that really quick. That's not it. AWS, I'm just gonna Google it because I'm not logged into here. So when I click it, I'm getting the stuff on my other computer. Come on, load up. What's happening? Let's close this. Let's go over here. Let's load it up. Okay. Whoa, startups get $100,000 free. Nice. I don't think I knew that. But like I said, AWS does require, or at least they did require, I haven't created a new account in a while. They used to require a credit card. I'm pretty sure they still do, a credit or debit card for you to be able to access their services. It does not mean that you're going to have to pay any money. We are going to stick with free tiers of just about everything, all stuff that we're going to do. You get a substantial amount of free stuff, and we're going to do some stuff to make sure that we don't have to pay any money. So it will, I understand if that's scary, not having a credit card is a bit of a barrier, but I think there's still a lot to be learned. Even if you can't do that, I think you can still watch, you can still learn. Really, the only thing that you won't be able to do is the stuff that we do in the console, like in the web interface. Like I said, there's some tools, one called local stack that I'm actually going to release a video on that will help you do some of the engineering things, some of the command line stuff locally right from your computer. You won't actually have to access this stuff, and so you'll still be able to follow along with those things. So almost all of the services that are in AWS have some type of free tier. One of the things that's a problem is people don't understand how some of these things work. And so things like EC2. So one of the first services we're going to touch, IAM is completely free. That's the first one we're going to do is identity and access management, but we're going to hit Amazon EC2. Okay, we're gonna hit this here. Their free tier is 750 hours per month, and this can be confusing. Why is it in hours? It's in hours because because of the way that they charge. We'll talk about the way that Amazon charges you for usage, but they'll give you a tier of servers of systems completely free. But it doesn't mean you have 750 total hours to use. It means that you have 750 hours of runtime. So if you spin up 5 different servers that are of the free tier and you have them running all at the same time, every hour is going to be taking up 5 hours of your time. And so 750 per month is a solid amount of hours. Let's do a little bit of math here. Let's say 8 hours a day times 30 days. Well, actually, that's a work day. Let's say let's do a full day. Let's say you leave it on permanently times 30 or 31. It's about, so basically they're giving you one small server, running basically full time for a month for free. That's basically what they're giving to you, but it only is going to charge you. It's only counting those hours while it's running. You can shut these servers down and get more. Another beauty of the cloud, you can commission a server and use it only when you need it and delete it just as easily. Absolutely. On demand. Commission it when I need it, shut it down, and I don't have to pay when it's shut down. It's pretty great. It is very easy to rack up charges, 100%. I'm gonna do my best to save you. But yeah, so if you have 5 systems running, if you have 5 servers running that month, you cannot run them all full time because you're going to run out of those 750 hours. So it'll reset each month. And also it only is for the first 12 months. So if you don't think that you're going to go through with this course, don't start your free trial now. Okay. Because you only get, I actually don't know if the free tier resets. I don't know if it's every 12 months, but I'm pretty sure it's 12 months total, and then it goes away. It gets even better when we learn about Lambda. I'm a huge serverless fan. Lambda is my choice. If I have to build a greenfield application, I'm gonna do everything in my power to make it as serverless as possible, just to make my life easier. But yeah, you can auto shut down things. Yes. So the cloud is so confusing and the people are willing to pay you so much for it because they're basically giving you access to their infrastructure and they're giving you tons of options for you to use it how you want to use it. So it's very easy to just start using it. Where companies get in trouble is it takes a little bit of knowledge and expertise to learn how to use it frugally, or to be able to use it efficiently and to maximize your money out of it. There's just really good ways to save lots of money in the cloud and to be able to get a lot of computing resources for just a little bit of money, but that takes a lot of orchestration. It takes a lot of knowledge to be able to do so, and we're going to learn a lot of that now. Yeah, free tier doesn't reset. Yep. All right, so let's keep moving. So the first thing you want to do is you want to set up an AWS account. You can create one for free. Okay, super easy to do so. You all have created accounts for things in the past. If you don't already have an AWS account, you can go through and create one now. You don't need, today we're not going to be doing anything inside of AWS. So if you're uncomfortable with it, don't rush through it now. Feel free to create an account later. You have a whole week to do so. I already have an account set up, but it's a normal account setup process. Nothing special here. Email address, password, and then eventually it'll make you put in a credit card so that if you are charged for things, they have a way to be able to charge you. Okay, so you can go through and simply go through that setup process to make one. It's not going to charge you. It's free to make an account. The account doesn't cost you anything. So I'm going to get logged in to my account. In fact, I need to remember. Let me log into LastPass really quick. Yeah, let me get logged in here. And let's fill. Okay, there we go. I have a couple of AWS accounts. I have an account specifically for this class as well. So I want to make sure that I have my credentials for this. If you aren't using a password manager like LastPass, I highly recommend you do so to make your stuff more secure. You know, it's easy to make terrible passwords. Something like LastPass really does help you out. I highly recommend it. Really saves it saves me all the time. I really recommend it. I treat every resource as if I have to pay for it. Helps make good choices. I agree with that, Coach Sean. Treat everything as if you have to pay for it, so that you don't make any mistakes. I can't tell. So right now, I'm glad we're doing this because I have somewhere in my main AWS account, I have some type of errant service or services running, something that I forgot about somewhere in there. I just haven't had time to go look, but I'm definitely getting charged like $150 more than I'm supposed to be charged per month right now. And now I'm going to try to remember to go and fix it after this. I never remember to go to it because I interact with AWS from the command line almost exclusively. I actually don't almost ever log in. I forget about it until I get charged, and then I get angry and I'm like, no, and then I forget about it, and it happens again the next month. So I really need to go fix that. But I have a number of AWS services that I do run for various things. You know, I'll get there eventually. It is a write-off as well. So, you know, but I need to go in and figure it out. So take a minute or two, see if you can get yourself set up with an AWS account. !AWS will give you the link if you don't have it. And then we'll dive into the AWS console in a second. AWS free tier is crazy generous. Yeah, 100%. Yes. So Lambda, once we get to the Lambda portion, like truly Lambda, I can't believe they allow you to do so much for free. You get something like 1 million invocations. We'll talk about invocations for free per month, I think. It's pretty crazy. And so you can really do some large scale things, but it does take, you got to think about what you're doing a little bit differently. The way that you build your application has to be different. And so, you know, it's tough. Should we select business, school, or personal use? Personal use is fine. It doesn't really matter what you use for that. Yeah, just do personal. Also, something that I think I remember to say yesterday, but while I'm going to be teaching you what I'm teaching you, I 100% go even the things that we learn. If we sit down and we go through an EC2 class, go watch someone else talk about EC2. Go read some articles about EC2. Go use more information than just myself. I'm going to be giving you valid, real information, but there may be things that I've decided aren't important for a 2-hour class or 2.5-hour class that maybe I've omitted, that someone else includes, or maybe I'll explain something in a way that's not as easy for you to understand that someone else may understand better. Feel free to go look everywhere and anywhere to make sure that you understand the concept that we're speaking about. If you find information that's good, if you find a video that you like, if you find someone else teaching that you really, really enjoy, let people know. Let people know. I hop in Discord and I'm like, yo, it's another streamer that's talking about this stuff, and I think this content is amazing. Even if it's, I think it's better. I don't care. I don't care at all. We're working forward. We're all working together to be able to get whoever needs to be where they need to be, where they need to be. So, you know, go gain all of the information, all of the knowledge that you can everywhere. All right, almost done with the coffee. Will the DevOps class have an overlap with this class? A bit. So that's actually a good time to do that, to let people finish making their account. So on Thursday, we'll be starting something called the DevOps Anthology series. We used to actually run a class called Pipelines, which was specifically a class around software delivery. So DevOps, SRE type topics. We're still, for right now, we're not running that type of boot camp for a couple of reasons. We're now doing this anthology series, even though it's not really an anthology because these things kind of go together. But we're instead, I have a bunch of things called excursions that I used to do, which were shorter classes, usually 2 to 6 weeks, about specific topics. So maybe Git, maybe Docker, maybe a very specific topic rather than a full-blown discipline. And so now our DevOps course is a bunch of those put together. So we're going to be starting with Linux. So for the next 7 weeks, we'll be, if you want to learn Linux, which I highly recommend, if you don't know Linux, if you don't know command line stuff, and you're learning cloud stuff, we'll do a little bit of that here. So that's where the overlap will be. We'll spend a little bit doing command line stuff, but I highly recommend, if you have time, even if you don't have time to join us live, rewatch this series as we're doing it. The Linux stuff is going to be great. Then we'll talk about some like Linux server management stuff. We'll learn how to code a little bit with Python. That's going to be a pretty short course. GitHub stuff, basic networking, monitoring and observability. We'll dive into Docker, do some CI/CD stuff. We'll do some Terraform stuff, Ansible stuff, and some Kubernetes stuff. This will be on Thursdays, yes. So again, like I said, we're starting off with Waddle, which is a 7-part Linux series. I think that everyone in tech should learn Linux, learn it well. I honestly think this is going to be one of the most valuable things that I think this is one of the most valuable things that I teach. This 7-week Linux class, I think, really sets you up for success. Whether you're doing code, whether you're doing cloud, I really think it sets you up for success. So that's every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And again, Mondays are Camp Code. So if you want to learn software engineering, computer science, those are on Mondays at 7 p.m. This is every Tuesday, and that's every Thursday. Okay. The AWS console. So you made an account. Congratulations. Great job. 20. You got an account open. Dope. So when we first log in, we get introduced to the AWS console. Okay. That's what it's called. I actually think the domain for it is console.aws.com. Am I logged in? Yes, console.aws.amazon.com. This is the AWS console. This is where you're going to administer your AWS account and resources. It is a web-based GUI. If you've never heard the term GUI, now's a great time to know about it. It is GUI means graphical user interface. So it's an interface. It's a way for you to interface with Amazon graphically. You click on buttons. You see a button, you click on it. It's got images. It's got words. It's got things that you can see, and you interact with it with your mouse and keyboard. But mouse is the main thing that's important here. And you can manage your entire account and all of your resources through the AWS console. You can view the AWS console without a credit card. Just close the window, but you can't run an instance. Oh, that's super helpful. Coding hacks. That's actually really, really helpful. Yeah. So if you're someone who doesn't want to put in a credit card, it'll let you see the console. If you just X out of it, that's dope to know. I'm going to add that into the class notes, for sure. Cause yeah, it's good to just see the console. We're going to explore it. It's not the most intuitive interface. You will get confused. Excellent. I like that. So one, I got to clap it up for you, coding hacks. You did it by mistake. That's great. You find out things by trying, by doing things. It's an accident, and you shared with us. Thank you so much. I didn't know you could do that. That's super duper helpful. I like it. Yes, name checks out 100%. You hacked it. That's dope. Again, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to try things out. Now, I will say with Amazon, again, this is the one place to be a little bit careful because it can cost you money. But while you're learning tech, while you're doing things, try stuff out, click buttons, see what happens when you do something. It's okay. You'll run into times where you don't know how to reset things, or it's okay. Try stuff out. You learn the most when you're trying to do some stuff. So I love it. Thanks for throwing that out there. Yes, we learn the most from our mistakes. That's 100% true. If a prepaid credit card would work, yeah, I never tried it either. I'm hoping that would work. That would be dope. All right, so again, not the most intuitive interface. You will get confused. Now, the interface has changed. In fact, you may be looking at a different screen. You may have a whole different interface than I have right now. There is an older interface. This is the newer interface, and I think that I've opted in to see it. But there is an older, grosser interface. I guarantee you now, this is still a confusing interface. The reason why it's confusing is, one, we're going to learn a little bit. Amazon has a ton of services, like over 140 at this point, I believe. Has a ton of services, and each of those services has a different team building them, and therefore has a different interface. And so things that you expect to be a certain place aren't always where you want it to be. You'll hear people all the time complain about how confusing this is. There's tons of information that you're receiving from Amazon, and so it's hard. It's a hard problem to solve, to lay this stuff out correctly. Azure, I think Microsoft Azure does a much better job in their interface design, but I think Amazon's API experience is a little bit better. But you will get confused throughout this interface, and it's okay. It's completely okay. You should, I'm letting you know this so that as we're going through it, if you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm never going to learn this tool, you will. It's okay. It's just it's an interface for you to be able to find what you need. You'll have to learn how to use this. There's a search bar. You will learn how to use the search bar up here very well. Okay. The search bar helps a lot. But yeah, there's a lot in there. You're not expected to memorize everything that's in there. Bedrock, that is the wrong classroom link. I need to just remove that command, to be honest. Those are old. If you want to get to the classroom for this, it is !cloud classroom. !cloud classroom will get you into this, and it will get you into this one. Which one of these courses pairs better with the DevOps course? I would love to do them all, but time is a factor. Yes, this course, the cloud course pairs better with the DevOps course than the code one does. All right, let's get back over to here. So yes, this is where we'll interact. This graphical user interface is how we will administer a lot of things for our account, and it will be confusing. There's a lot in there. It will be confusing. Remember that. So Amazon, let's learn a little bit about AWS. As of right now, this actually may be outdated. I made sure to update some of the global stuff. I don't know if I updated the services or not, but at this time, there is no DevOps classroom yet. There will be on Thursday. It's not released yet. I'm confirming that without a credit card, you can view getting started with AWS material. Dope. So right now, 175 plus services and growing. That means there are 175 different products that you can rent or purchase from Amazon. Okay, that's a lot. That's probably scaring you right now. Like, oh my gosh, do I need to learn 175 things? No, you don't. But they do have 175 things. That can be overwhelming. That can be daunting. I've been working with AWS seriously for many years, professionally for many years. I'm probably only super competent in 12 services, to be honest. I probably use somewhere closer to 30 services, like 30 or 40 services, but you won't use all, you just won't use all these things. There are a number of core services. We're going to focus on most of them. Do I think it will be too challenging for a newcomer to do all 3 classes? I think that no. I don't think it will be too challenging, because I think that both of the Camp Code and Camp Cloud would help get you prepared for the DevOps stuff. But you know, I don't recommend you do all 3. If anything, if you're a newcomer, I recommend you just do the Monday and Tuesday course. The Camp Code, Camp Cloud are the 2 that I would recommend. I think you can skip the Thursday course. The big ones that I've used. So I've used EC2, S3, RDS. So we're gonna learn about all the acronyms of RDS. I've used DynamoDB a lot, Lambda super heavily, Lambda and API Gateway. I've done a bunch with CloudFront and Amazon Certificate Manager. I've done a bunch with Athena, actually, as of recently. I've done a bunch with EFS was for storage. I've done a bunch with ECS, the container platform. I've done a bit with EKS. my Kubernetes experience in comparison to a lot of other stuff is I've done a lot with Kubernetes, but professionally I haven't done a ton with Kubernetes. I did some Kubernetes Windows stuff, which was interesting, which was weird, actually. I've used what's their data lake warehousing thing? Was it? I don't even remember what that service is called. Obviously, I've used IAM heavily, CloudWatch, a ton of them. Absolutely a ton of them, but there's so many that I've never heard of. When I hear it, I'm like, oh, didn't know that was a thing. I've used Lightsail. Elastic Beanstalk. All of the CodeStar products. Code Build. Cloud9. All that stuff. I've used a lot of it. By the end, will we be job ready? Excellent question. For cloud, yes. And when I say yes, with a little asterisk by it, I specifically call out on the page for this that you won't be job ready, and that you just need a little bit more. In this case, I actually think so, and I'm judging this off of most of the both beginner and intermediate cloud roles that I usually come across. I think you will be 100% competent to get through an interview. Will you feel super duper comfortable? No. And that's the case with any tech role, because again, there's so much variability. I actually think for this course, you will be job ready by then. You won't be ready for all cloud engineering roles, but I think that you will be ready for entry level cloud engineering role or cloud administrator role by the end of this. Are you a legend for giving away this much knowledge? I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Again, this is so that people can know this stuff is available, know this out here, and be able to utilize and create opportunities for themselves the same way that I was able to. Again, I think I got lucky by stumbling upon, some of the things that I stumbled upon, and I find genuine joy in being able to give this stuff away. So yeah, I'm always gonna keep doing it. I may not have the best content for certain topics and stuff, but I'm always gonna do my best to share as much knowledge as I do have, because there's so much opportunity out here. Usually I say the word money, but money, opportunity, you life-changing, again, for many people. The types of salaries that I'm seeing, the type of salaries that I've been able to attain, I really do want to give people as many chances as possible. So a lot of you may start this process right now and you may not complete it successfully. You may, life may get in the way. You may fall off after week 6. You may fall off after week 20. It's okay. It's completely okay. Take the time that you need. Hop back on the horse. Don't keep going. Keep going. If your goal is to move into an industry where you have some mobility, where you have some job security, when you have some job mobility, where you have job opportunities, I think this is the place to be. Unless you really want to be somewhere else. If you're unsure, I think tech is the place to be. Keep working. I promise you. Keep working. You do not have to. You really don't have to be amazing, just get enough to get your foot in the door. And once you have a job, the learning and stuff gets so easy because you'll be getting paid to learn on the job. You'll learn it through osmosis once you actually get a role. But it really can be life-changing. Yes, it'll be tough. Yes, it is. You're going to have to work hard. The mental struggles are, we're not out working in the hot sun, but you are using your brain, you are having to think. It can be very frustrating. So make sure that also while you're taking this class, you're taking the time to enjoy yourself. You're taking the time to de-stress, because this stuff can be, it can mess with your head a little bit as well. Dope. What up, Trey Ghoul? Excellent. Glad to see you streaming again. Yep, I'm back, Chad. Good to see you as well, too. You do 39, and I'm sick of working in public services. Yes. Age ain't. I just taught an in-person class, and that's the reason I was gone so long. I just taught an in-person class, and we had a woman in the class who was, I think, late 40s, early 50s. But hop in, and you also, your public services work probably makes you uniquely amazing for a lot of the roles that are out here. You would be surprised at how although we're using technology to solve the problems, the things that you're solving, like you got to you're pulling in your knowledge from all other places in life to get those things done. It's not just about the code. It's not just about the technical things. Like, you're solving people problems. And so, your experience elsewhere is actually really, really good. Is 2 years of experience a good time to stay at a company for a solid CV? Yeah. I'll show you my resume. 2 years is great. I never stayed anywhere. I've only stayed at one company. I guess two. One for more than a year and a half. Stay as long as you're getting experience. I think it's completely fine. I say at the year mark, you should start evaluating whether or not you're learning, and make sure you're keeping an eye on what's out there. But yeah, 2 years of experience, you're probably Sin City, like 2 years is probably the sweet spot, because companies don't have to, like, companies, you can be very valuable to a company, and they don't have to pay you absurd amounts of money. So like, you're probably the most in demand. I created an AWS account and it's asking me if I want to switch to the new console. Click yes. Yep. Yeah, I'm going to be using the new console. So go ahead and click yes. This is every Tuesday. 100% support that claim. Public service communication, heck, even customer service. Oh, 100%. I've had places where I was by leaps and bounds the worst engineer there, but I had the most customer service, people skills, and I was able to work with the product owners and stuff, and they absolutely adored me over everybody else, just because, again, you're solving it. The tech is the tool, man. Like, you're solving problems, and those other skills are equally as valuable. Use two-factor authentication for Amazon account. Trust me, yes. We'll talk about MFA. Looking to get in the cloud from networking. How much CCNP cert knowledge should translate to AWS? Okay, Chief Strongjaw, this is a great question. Your networking concepts will help you so much. Now, I will say, because you have that knowledge, you are probably you probably have familiarity with all of the other pieces. Even if you're not a pro at them, you probably have some Linux knowledge, and you probably can understand how a server works and things like that. So like, you won't have, I don't think you'll have a tough time picking up the skills. Most of it is going to be learning the services and what they all do. That everyone's going to be doing that, is learning the services and what they do. But you're not also having to learn the deep technical aspects of it as well. I think you'll be completely fine. I think you'll pick this up very easily. Very, very easily. And having that networking background, I think you could spend a week learning about AWS services and being able to speak about them a little bit. And I think you can walk into but you can walk into a lot of cloud roles pretty easily, because, and I think you would end up understanding how to apply those things. Job for 8 years, ready for a change. I agree. Even if your job is great, I think it's valuable to learn from new places, new people. I think it really does help you. I think getting stale in the tech industry is one of the worst things you could do. It makes it really hard. Concept of talent stacking. Yes, talent stacking. Perfect. We'll talk. I think I have something to talk about that as well. You scored some of the best content, I think. Appreciate it. 2 years back, know your channel, you told me that I don't know how to code and going to the course in the US. Oh yeah. Dope. That's awesome. If anyone here is coming from working help desk roles. Oh, help desk is my favorite place to start people. Help desk has helped me substantially. It sucked sometimes while I was there, but help desk has helped me substantially. All right, let me get back to it. So AWS services, 175 of them plus, probably more than that now. Services can be used like Legos to build what you need. Remember, we said these are distributed networked computing resources. So these are different Lego pieces, different places that we can stack together to be able to build our solutions. That is what people are looking for. They're looking for you to be able to know what services are available, understand the pricing models, and be able to introduce a service when they need a problem solved, and to be able to put together solutions like Legos. Again, you pay as you go and you pay for what you use. So there are some other models where you pay up front for things. With EC2, we're going to talk about reserved instances and things like that. But for the most part, it's pay as you go and pay for what you use. And so again, you can use this to really put together some dope stuff, both cost wise and solution wise. Let's take a tour. And by a tour, I mean a tour of AWS and AWS's services, the console. We're going to hop into the console and look around. The console is cool. It's cool, but the true power of the cloud is that it can be accessed and controlled programmatically. This can be done in two ways. So we're going to talk about this in a second. Actually, didn't mean to go to this slide. Let's look around the AWS console first. So I have the new EC2 experience on. I can click it off so you can see the old experience, which looks the same. So maybe this button doesn't work. Look the same to me. But I'm gonna click back into the home area and take a look at it. This looks bare here because I haven't logged into this account in a while, because I haven't streamed in a while. And this account is strictly for my streaming. But take a look at it. Pretty bare here. Recently visited applications, which is nice because ultimately you're usually going to be going back to manage the same things that you've been using. So this is kind of cool. You get some welcome to AWS. AWS has a lot of documentation. Whether it's valuable or not, you'll have to determine that. Some stuff is valuable. They're missing some good documentation on a lot of things. There will be some type of documentation, but valuable documentation, I think AWS is okay at it. You're usually going to look elsewhere for good documentation on how to use something. But they do have a lot of like training and stuff as well on here that you could use. They give you these little panels that you can move around to kind of make a dashboard for yourself. So you can see my cost estimator is here. So apparently I've been paying $1.50. I didn't even know this was costing me anything. So I've been paying $1.51 somewhere around there every month. It's going to be a little bit cheaper this month. Ooh, that's pretty good. So they do a good job of helping you understand what your bill might be. There's just a bunch of options in here, and this makes it confusing. And you can add some widgets. This is new. This is the new interface. The old interface, I don't think you could do any widgets or anything like that, or I never used it. So up here, you have the services tab. Those 150 or 175 plus services, this is where they are. And they're broken down by what problem they solve. So we have analytics services. We have AR and VR. We have compute. So remember, that's CPU stuff. We have containers. We have database services. We have Internet of Things. So IoT in your house, your smart lights, your smart thermostat, so you can build cool Internet of Things applications. They have services for that. Media services. If you want to stream, if you want to send video, they have stuff in there for that. Quantum technologies. Wow. I have no idea what services are in here, but it's broken down by its category. And then you can click into it and actually see what options are here. And so obviously it's not showing you 175 services, but you can see just here in this compute cycle, in this compute section, we have a lot of stuff. Okay. We got a bunch of stuff here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 items just in this compute section alone. And you might be saying to yourself, why in the world, if compute is CPU, why are there so many different options? Well, each of these provides some tools on top of, yes, they're renting to you out the CPU, the compute performance, but they're providing some tools and some software over top of it that allow you to get some things done quickly. Same thing for databases, different types of databases, database services. So this is, they're broken down by all kinds of different things. Look at all this machine learning stuff. So many machine learning services that they have to offer you. Can it be used to stream on Twitch 24/7, and can it run Linux GUI applications programmed in C++? Interesting. Yeah. So you can run Linux GUI applications, but you'll have to. There are a number of different ways to go about it. There's some weird ways you can go about connecting an X server to your stuff. Generally, they're going to be giving you the stuff via the CLI. I've seen people do GUI applications. You can run desktops. I don't know if they have native Linux desktops. I know they have Windows ones, like workstations that you can use. But I'm sure you can figure. I guarantee you, if you Google it, there's some guides to getting it done. Can it be used to stream to Twitch 24/7? Probably. I'm sure I could figure out a way to stream to Twitch 24/7. So yes, 100%. I'm sure I could do that using AWS services. It's amazing how you can work in AWS environments for years and never touch half of their services. 100%. That's why I made it a point to tell you I probably only know 13 or 14 of these services really well. I probably only ever touched 30 to 40 of them, and there are over 170 of them, so it's pretty crazy. All right, so let's get back over here. You can get Ubuntu and AWS custom Linux, Linux version of the GUI. Yeah, I don't think they offer a native version. Let me see. See, I even forgot workspaces. Here we go. Workspaces. Let's see if they offer any Linux workspaces. Ooh, yeah, they do. They do. Amazon Linux. So it doesn't like you can get Ubuntu, but you can get Windows 10 and Amazon Linux. So Amazon makes their own version of Linux. They build their own distribution, and so it looks like you can do that. Cool. That's dope. Okay. But yeah, this is the console, and so once you although there's not complete consistency between all of the things inside of AWS console, it's generally, I think it's similar enough. Each service is similar enough to each other where once you learn one service, you can figure it out. There's usually a big call out button to get you started with stuff, and then there are these boxes where you got to put in information and stuff. The design language is pretty standard across the board, but really there's a big search bar at the top. That's going to be the main place that you do things. There's going to be, this is an important part. We're about to learn about regions. This is a very important part. Make sure you keep an eye on what region you're in, and then how you get back to all your account stuff. Yeah. Do all these services have tutorials attached? Not immediately attached. Somewhere in the documentation there might be a tutorial. But yeah, there's definitely documentation, easily clickable once you get into a new service. But the exciting thing about AWS is the power of it is you can do things programmatically. Okay, you can use software to make things better. You can interact using other tools that can make things faster and more consistent and repeatable. If you can do something programmatically, you can make it repeatable, and this is one of the best things. There are two ways, there are actually more ways than this, but two main ways to interact with Amazon programmatically. Through Amazon's SDK. So if you're someone who knows how to code, they provide these software development kits for different languages that allow you to easily have functions and things easily accessible for you to be able to write code to do things with Amazon. And the other big way is the CLI, the command line interface. So the console is the GUI. It's the graphical user interface. It's the graphical way that you are able to interact with Amazon. You can also do so from the command line with text. So text-based, you issue commands against Amazon's API to get things done. We will do that. We will do one thing. We'll do a few things with the SDK later when we get to Lambda. You will mostly be doing, we'll basically do stuff in the console, and then we'll do it with the CLI so that you understand how to do that as well. You don't need to get this installed right now. This slide is old. You can try to install the AWS CLI yourself. Feel free to click and do it. That link should work. Yeah, so make sure you install version 2 of the CLI. If you want to do it on your own, we will do this together. Next class we will do this together. So again, if you want to do it on your own right now, you can go ahead and do that. But we'll talk. I want you to know that you can access AWS in different ways, but you'll feel how to do it a little bit later. So even though we're talking about it, I'm not going to leave you hanging. We just want to introduce it to you, and we'll dive into that a little bit later. Okay, if there's nothing else tonight, I definitely want you to know what the cloud is. But if you don't get anything else tonight, this is what I want you to get. AWS's global infrastructure. I want you to leave with this. I want you to be able to understand this concept, and I want you to be able to talk about this concept. Maybe you got to watch a couple videos afterwards, but I want you to conceptually understand what we have going here, because this is probably one of the biggest this is one of the most important things about Amazon. AWS has a global infrastructure, global, all around the world. What does that mean? Well, it means that it has an infrastructure that has multiple regions around the world that it can offer you services and deliver services from. So regions is the first big, knowing they have a global infrastructure is helpful, but knowing about AWS regions is very, very important. These are physical locations around the world where clusters of data centers are. So notice I said the word clustered. These are physical locations around the world where there are multiple data centers, not just one. There are clusters of data centers in these regions. So a single data center doesn't make up a region. A cluster of data centers makes up a region. And so these are physical places around the world. Last time we did this class, I think there were only 24 geographic regions. Today, there are 26 geographic regions. And you can click the link here and it will show you the places around the world where regions exist. Okay, and you can go through their little thing here and you can see where all of the regions are in North America and South America, Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific. There are 26 with more on the way. All right, so there are a lot. So you can get resources in places that are closest to your users. You can also have, properties in multiple regions for failover, for redundancy. You can serve out of multiple regions as once. Azure has more regions, but AWS probably. I do think that Azure has the largest cloud. I'm pretty sure that Azure's is larger. Amazon has more market share, but I'm pretty sure Azure's is larger. And it has more availability zones. They're very competitive with global reach. Yeah, it's Microsoft. They're enterprise focused. Microsoft is going to find a way to gain more of that market share. And, we're talking about a couple years ago, Azure, even though Amazon has a larger market share, Azure generated more revenue than them to the tune of something absurd, something absurd, like $18 billion for that year or something like that. So there's tons of money in this. The reason why the salaries are so high when Azure can generate that kind of revenue and they're not even the market leader, it's pretty crazy. Tons of money. I mean, we're talking about, I don't know if you all remember, the government was trying to do some type of big AWS deal right here in Virginia, or a big cloud deal, and it was like $1 billion contract. We're talking about $1 billion government contract. That's crazy for cloud computing. It's nuts. And I think Amazon won, and then Microsoft appealed, and maybe Microsoft won. I don't actually know the status of it. I think was it like Jedi or something like that? I don't know, but there's absurd amounts of money in this. But these regions are clusters of data centers located all around the world. Oh, other way around. Okay. Yep. Jedi. Perfect. And so, you don't have to know every single one, but definitely have an understanding that there are multiple physical geographical locations where clusters of data centers lie around the world. All right. Currently 26. They might ask you on the test. I'm so disappointed that both of you guys are streaming simultaneously. We have this posted on YouTube tomorrow. Yes, my goal is to have it up on the YouTube channel tomorrow. It'll be here for 60 days, but I'm making a separate YouTube account because I used to stream like 6 days a week. Because I'm streaming 3 days a week, I don't want it to muddy up my YouTube channel. So I'm making a YouTube channel specifically for these reruns, where you can go and always access them. There'll be playlists. So yes, I will have a link for you. This will be posted. And once I get the account set up and right, I will post, it'll basically go up immediately after. It'll take a while to upload and process, but it should be available next day for sure. All right, so how do you choose a region? We got all these regions. How do you choose one? Well, latency and proximity. So latency is the delay it takes for when a request is made to be able to get to its location. So latency, it takes more time for your request to get from here to, I'm on the East Coast of the United States. I'm in Maryland, in Baltimore, and it takes much longer for my request to go to Australia than it does for my request to go to Virginia. Okay, so latency, we want to make sure we probably want our systems to be closer to the people we're servicing, because that'll allow usually that allows for less latency. Okay, what are your thoughts on the new AWS UI? It's solid. It's solid. I don't use the UI that much. I do things programmatically. I do a lot of CLI stuff, but it does seem better. It's prettier, but prettier doesn't mean more usable. So I don't really know yet. I still got to mess around with it. Cool. Services. Not every service. So all those 175 services, they are not available in every region. Very important to know. Every service not available in every single region. So you got to pay attention. You got to, if you need a service, you got to make sure that it's available in the region that you need it. So that'll help you choose what regions that you need to do. So planning is important, and understanding that is very helpful. And then data laws and requirements. So data sovereignty laws. Maybe I work for a company who does some type of security stuff here in the United States. I physically may not be allowed to store people's information on a European server. And so I might have to choose something here in the US, or vice versa. You may be in France, and data sovereignty laws say this data cannot leave the country. And so, you might have to choose that based on, there's all kinds of laws around data retention and data for different services for different industries. So that might be another way, there might be another thing that you have to think about before you choose a region. And this is important. Like, people are paying you to think about these things. These are questions that you can ask and sound really smart. So think about an interview and someone is just asking you, hey, like, we're trying to figure out, how to plan something, what kind of questions would you ask? You say, hey, does latency matter? Does it matter how long requests take? What services are we using? Because, not every service is available in every region. And what's our policy around data? Is it okay if our data, goes overseas? Is it okay if we save data a certain place? This might make you sound really, really smart, even though they're just questions. Okay, they might make you sound super duper smart, but these are some things that might help you choose a region. The next part about the AWS global infrastructure. So regions, again, remember that regions are physical locations around the globe with clusters of data centers. Availability zones are the second piece of that. So regions plus availability zones is the thing that makes up the global infrastructure. What are AZs? Well, the availability zones or AZs, you'll hear people call them AZs. So when you hear the term AZ, when I say it, when anyone else says it, they're talking about availability zones. They're not talking about Arizona. I think that's Arizona's. I think that's the initials for Arizona, or the acronym for. No, wait. What is it called? What's it called? What are the two letters together called? Not acronym. Obviously not initials. My brain is blanking. I'm waiting for the answer. It is the shortened term abbreviation. Thank you so much. That's how you know it's late in the day. It's the abbreviation for Arizona. But when people say AZs, it is, they're talking about these availability zones. One or more discrete data centers with redundant power, networking, and connectivity in an AWS region. So, let's do a little bit of underlining. We have one part right here, which is discrete data centers, and then redundant power, networking, and connectivity in an AWS region. Those are, lots of different pieces here. Those clusters of data centers that are in a region. Okay, so a region has clusters of data centers. They're broken up into these availability zones, and this is mainly for redundancy. Okay, so they're discrete data centers that have redundant power and networking and connectivity. So inside of a region, you will have multiple availability zones that allow for redundancy. The reason why this matters, this is for, let's say you're on the East Coast. Let's say you're all of your stuff is in US East 1, the US East 1 region. And, if something happens to a data center, if there's a fire, if someone attacks a data center, if something big, there's a flood inside of one data center, having the redundancy of other data centers is super duper helpful. So a lot of redundancy happens here. A lot of times when you use a service, it will it'll go to a region and your stuff will get copied or spread around amongst multiple availability zones, so that, again, if something does happen, your data isn't lost, your service is still accessible. And this is great. You kind of get this by default for a lot of things, but each region has multiple availability zones. So US East 1, which is Northern Virginia, might have, so they don't all have the same number of availability zones. It used to be 3 for all of them. Now some of them have 4 and even 5. And you would have US East 1. US East 1A or 1A. Or 1B or 1C. And these will be different zones that you could put your stuff into. And while you're setting things up, you can specify these different availability zones. And again, it's for redundancy. And so those clusters and that are in a region are broken up into different availability zones, so that your stuff can be available for as much as you need it to be available. Okay, so every region is made up of multiple availability zones. That's a relationship. So think about it like this. This big circle is the region, and inside of each region is a cluster of different services that are a discrete setup. And so all of these things in here are AZs. So AZ1, AZ2, AZ3. So each region has a number of availability zones inside of it. Okay, that's the important relationship you should know. And I just drew this when obviously this picture was right here. It's wild how I did not realize this picture was right here, but there we go. Every region has a couple of availability zones inside of it. So yeah. They also have a good water source for cooling. It's impressive. Yes, it is rather impressive to have it AZ. Like the scale at which this is done, the amount of resources and technology that goes into this is pretty crazy. Musk buys AWS, couldn't do it. He doesn't have enough. I don't think he has enough money. I don't think he has enough. And that's crazy to say. He doesn't have enough. That OVH fire is a good example of, why you never have a single AZ instance. When you have your instances, when you have your services in a single availability zone, it does put you at risk. If your service makes you money, it's kind of scary. US 1 only has 2 AZs. No, yes, I have no idea which regions have how many availability zones, but just know that if it's a region, it does have multiple availability zones. Maybe only 2, but I think it could be up to 5. I think some of them are up to 5 now. I think maybe only 4. The important part is that you know what a region is and what an availability zone is. So cool. Let me screenshot this. Whoa, that's not what I wanted. No, now it went away. Sorry about that. Guess we gotta keep going. Maybe I'll screenshot it from the replay video. All right, was that it? Wow, is that what we're supposed to do today? That came up faster than I thought, but I do think that's all we're supposed to do today. Let me see. Let me make sure. Usually I have a DN slide. Oh yeah, billing and billing alarms. That's the last piece we're doing. The Wake Up has a snapshot feature that could be helpful. Thank you. I will look into that immediately. Let me see if I can find it immediately because I might never go back and do it. On-screen controls. Oh, maybe I can do maybe I can simply just the camera icon. We see the camera icon. It's the camera icon. I'll find it. Or I'll just set up a button modifier so that I can do it. Across the bottom where the pins are. Oh. So that wasn't oh yeah. So this is the tool that I'm using. Hold on, where is it? Nice. Look at that. Excellent. Okay, cool. Thank you. That's helpful. Get out of there. Escape. Cool. Yeah, billing alarms. Let's set up a billing alarm really quick, and then we'll be done. And they must make so much money. Bezos could buy Canada. Yes, like they make a lot of money. GCP is weird. I agree. Google Cloud Platform kind of weird to me. Yeah, it is weird to me. I like some aspects. The VPC being global is cool. Yeah, I need to dive back into GCP. I haven't used it in a lot of years, so I actually feel bad about saying things about it because I'm sure it's come a long way. This is Windows 10. Why does it look so different? It's Windows 11. This is Windows 11, and yeah, this is my beautiful Windows 11. So if you're I didn't tell you all what computers I'm using. My stream PC is my monster. I had a great year. I had a great business year in 2020. And I got to the end of the year and I had to spend some money. And this was right when whatever year all the new graphics cards came out, it was that year. So it might be 2019, maybe 2020. And I was fortunate enough to build a monster rig before everything got expensive. So I've got a gigantic, Threadripper build. It's the second lowest Threadripper, the 3960X. I got 128 gigs of RAM. I got a Founders Edition 3090 in this bad boy. I have so many SSDs in here because there's so many that it came with a riser card. I got like 7 SSDs in this computer. It's crazy. I said I was gonna make all these videos and I was gonna use it for video editing. I have a bit, but I still haven't used it how I need to use it. But I'm streaming though. I'm streaming off of this is a Framework laptop. Okay, it's a Framework laptop, and let's see, frame.work. It is a fully modular laptop that you build. Which is super dope. I really, really like it. It's got a 10 out of 10 score on iFixit's fixability thing. And it's I'm very impressed by it. Very, very impressed by it. But this is what I'm using. I wanted to run Linux on it. So Linux works really well on these laptops. The reason why we're not going to be using Linux for all the courses is because because this has a weird aspect ratio, Linux drivers and the way that Linux display scaling stuff worked, it did not play well with my capture card at all, not even a little bit. And so I like Windows, but I would prefer to use Linux, but for a number of reasons, it's just not working out, unfortunately. But I do recommend this laptop. If you're looking for a laptop and you like repairability, you want to be able to you can literally buy a brand new, main board. You can buy just the CPU. You can upgrade your CPU in a laptop, which is pretty nuts. People have bought these main boards and built keyboards, put the main board in them, and now your keyboard's a whole computer. It's pretty dope. But yeah, GPU, this is integrated graphics, so no GPU here. But in my main PC, it's a 3090. 3090 Founders Edition, which is dope. Do I suggest i-series or AMD processors? Now, the new Intel processors seem to be really good for gaming and stuff. I think bang for buck. I mean, I've been in Ryzen stuff since second series Ryzen, and I have a 5950X at home for my gaming PC. I think computer hardware has gotten so good. I don't think it matters what you do. I really don't think it matters what you do. It's gotten so good. It'll all work. It'll all work. Yeah, Ryzen 3 1200 first gen, that works. I probably won't touch any of these computers. I upgraded all at the same time because, again, like I said, I had to spend some money for tax reasons, and so I just upgraded everything. As long as my stuff is working, I can't see myself upgrading for a long time. We've been to the same Micro Center. Yeah, Micro Center has gotten way too much of my money over the years. I've been really good at not spending any more money for a while now. Yeah. All right, let's do these billing alarms so we can get out of here. The last thing we're gonna do is set up a billing alarm so that we don't get charged too much, so we know how much we're spending. Now, the billing alarm you would think will be super duper easy to do. And it is easy to do. The problem is it's not done directly in the billing section of AWS. It actually requires us to use an AWS service that we actually don't know, that you haven't learned about yet. So you'll be introduced to it today. So we'll grab this just so we have a guide, because it changes every so often a little bit. But I want you to have something to go off of as well. And so we got to do a couple pieces here. So one, let's take a look at the billing section of AWS. I'm gonna go back to my console. So I'm back in the AWS console, and I'm gonna go to my billing dashboard. So you can see here, billing dashboard. I click my name, the account name over in the corner. I'm gonna go down to billing dashboard. And in my billing dashboard, it gives me a summary of total month forecast. So this is not how much I owe yet. It is how much, if I don't change anything, this is how much I will probably owe when the month is over. Current month to date balance. So for this month, for these 3 days, I've accrued a 57-cent balance. Prior month for the same period was 58 cents. So I'm saving 1 cent since last month. That gives us good information. It tells me total number of active regions. So I have stuff in 3 different regions. That's surprising me right now. I gotta go find whatever I have in other regions. 1 account active, 5 services active. Cool. So you can use this dashboard to actually find out which services you're using, to get an estimate by service. So I can see what services I'm using. I'm using EC2, Route 53, S3, and Glue. And I can view my bill and see what's taking up what. So there's a lot of information in here. You can go through, you can download information. It's helpful. But there isn't an alarm option right here. I can't set up alerts or alarm options. I actually have to use 2 different AWS services to make this happen. And so let's take a look at this walkthrough. Creating a billing alarm to monitor your estimated AWS charges. That's what it monitors. It monitors the estimated charges, which is helpful because you want to know when your estimated charges are going to be more than you expect, because that's what you can take action early. Okay, so when you get the alarm, it doesn't mean you already owe that much. It doesn't mean if I set my alarm for $10, now I owe $10. It means that as soon as you make some changes and it starts to estimate what that looks like, if you continue to run it all month, it will let you know. And so, again, notice how my accrued charges were different from my month to date balance. I've only spent 57 cents or only owe 57 cents so far, but it's going to cost me $238 if I let the month go to its entirety. So this will tell you as soon as this estimate gets above your threshold, it will let you know, and it'll send you an email or alert you however you want to be alerted. So to do this, first thing we have to do is enable billing alerts. Okay, so we have to first enable it. First time it takes about 15 minutes before you can view billing data or set billing alarms. So I didn't know that. I learned something new today. I probably learned this last time I did it too. So if you can't currently see your billing, if you currently can't see this type of data in your dashboard, it might not, you might have to enable this first. So let's go through, let's click the buttons to enable it so that you can get it in the same place. It might take a few minutes before you can do it. You can watch me do it. And then, after this is over, maybe you can go set up one for yourself. Does it matter to set up a billing reminder alert for a newly created account or for the future? A billing reminder alert. I don't know. I don't have one. I only rely on these billing alarms. I say go for it. I think any alarms or alerts are helpful, especially in the beginning. So I'd say go for it. Yeah, I say go for it. All right, so the first thing that you do to enable the monitoring of estimated charges, you got to open up the billing console, which is where we were already at. So when I clicked here, my name, and I went to billing dashboard, I'm assuming that's the same place, /billing. Yeah, /billing is where we want to go. So get to your billing dashboard. In the navigation pane, choose billing preferences. So let me see if I can find that. In the navigation pane, I might not have all of this. Billing preferences right here. So over on the left, this is the navigation pane over here. Scroll down a little bit under preferences, and you can go to billing preferences. And you can see how there's so much here where you'll never memorize what all this does. So it's okay to feel lost. Choose receive billing alerts and then save your preferences. So I'm gonna, okay. So this is the reason why mine works. And in fact, I'll do this. I'll log in to my main account. So I have, this is a, you can take one main root level account and you can create other accounts off of it. And that's what I've done. And you can manage your billing in one place. I'm gonna log into this one, which I do have auth on. I have a terrible password on it, but I do have auth on this one. Let me grab my code. Yeah. Also, be careful when you're, I always like to let people know this. Be careful sharing your auth code. People can't hack your auth code just knowing one code. But what they can do is if they know 2 in a row, it is possible for them to do that. And so like I've seen streamers do it. Now, it's unlikely someone will do it, but it is possible for someone to crack the hashing algorithm for your one-time password if they know 2 codes in a row. Especially if they know 3, but 2 codes in a row. So be careful with that. So usually if I mess up one, I'll wait until 2 more later before I do anything. Yes, someone taught me that, and then I ended up watching a whole video about it. I was like, dang, that's, people are smart. And so billing dashboard, look, so my account is way more, I owe more money in this account. I spent a little bit more. This used to be like $400, and then I switched a bunch of stuff to using some lambdas and stuff. But let's see, billing preferences. Yeah, people are very sneaky. People are very, very sneaky. Billing preferences, and so in your billing preferences, I guess you can go to receive billing alerts and click save. That is how you do the first section to get ready to do it. All right, so I already have that enabled, and we're good to go. Once while streaming, I open up a Google page and it show my IP address. Good thing I use a VPN. Yes. Thank you so much for saying that. You reminded me. I haven't streamed in so long. I have a VPN that I should use for that exact reason. Fortunately, I'm not streaming from my house, so you all can dox somebody else, or you can dox this building. But I am going to do that. How long would it take them to figure out the algorithm? The video I watched, I don't really know. The video I watched, I think they sped it up, but I think it's pretty. I think it's relatively quickly. Like I think like hours. I believe. If you know the tools, auth, yeah, not very long. So it's pretty interesting. Okay, so we did the first part here. And now we need to create a billing alarm. So this is where we're going to use our first tool to do so. So you might have to wait a little while if you just did that, because it said about 15 minutes. The tool, the Amazon service, so you're about to actually interact with your first Amazon service now. Billing's not really a service, but CloudWatch. CloudWatch is an Amazon service that helps you gain some understanding of metrics. It allows you to set up reporting and metrics and dashboards for your AWS services. So we're going to open up CloudWatch and we're going to set it up there. So I'm actually going to put this side by side so I don't have to keep going back and forth. What's happening? Okay, separate it. Oh, sorry. Okay. I know what's doing it now. So let's just use, there we go. So I put them side by side so I can see. I'm going to open up the CloudWatch console. So I'm going to go to services. I'm going to type in CloudWatch here. In the search bar, I'm going to type in CloudWatch. So CloudWatch is an interesting service. It used to be underneath EC2 actually, but it's now separated out into its own thing. But CloudWatch, first service, it allowed, actually, what was their thing here? Monitor resources and applications. Isn't that what we're trying to do right now? So remember, these services solve problems. This is a service designed to help us easily be able to monitor our resources and our applications. And so that's exactly what we're going to do with it. So we're in CloudWatch already. If necessary, change the region to US East. This is where all the metrics are stored. So remember, we're talking about nationwide. We're talking about global infrastructure. All of their billing is done in a singular region. This was their first region, US East 1. This is located in Northern Virginia. I think mostly in the maybe Reston. No, not Reston. It's deeper than Ashburn, like Ashburn, Virginia. And so yeah, this is where your billing alarm must be set. So you got to switch over to that region if you're not. So make sure you pay attention to what your region is up here. Yes, US East 1, the playground of the AWS land, the largest region for sure. All right, so I'm already in there because that's actually the one that's closest to me. So I'm always there. Billing metric data is stored there. It reflects worldwide changes. In the navigation pane, choose alarms, all alarms. So I'm going to click navigation pane over here, alarms, all alarms. And right now, I don't have any alarm. Oh, actually, we set up one for some past classes for our Horizon class that's no longer working anymore, but it was a CPU alarm. We were measuring the CPU of a system. So now we're going to do select the checkbox next to alarm and actions delete. All alarm. Hold on. Select the checkbox next to the alarm. Oh, delete a billing alarm. I'm dumb. We're in the, I went too far down. So I'm still here, still alarms, all alarm, and then you just hit the create alarm button. Yeah. So we're gonna create this alarm here, and it's gonna tell us to select a metric. So I'm gonna select a metric, and inside this metric, let me see if I can make this a little bit smaller. Yeah, 100%, there we go. Select metric, this is for graphs. Doesn't want us to do anything with here. Next to estimated charges, and choose in the all metrics tab, choose select metrics. In the all metrics tab, choose billing total estimated charges. Billing total estimated charges. So there we go. I think that's right. You may need to enable billing alerts, which I already did. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. If I make it larger, I can actually see it. So I click all estimated charges there in US dollars, and I'm gonna select that metric. And so what it's gonna do is it's gonna start setting up a space where it's going to track these changes. And what it's gonna do now, we can leave everything default, but actually I'll look at it. And actually, let me move this to let's move this over here so I can go back and forth between the two. Creating a billing alarm. Cool, select metric, I did that already. Select the checkbox next to estimated charges, which I did. Under conditions, choose static. So let's go back over and see if I can see a conditions box and choose static. Maybe I already mixed it. Okay, static. Conditions. So here's the difference between the two. Static, what static is going to do, what this one's going to allow you to do is for you to set an active threshold. So whether it be a number for this, or maybe I can set something like $25. Wow, I don't know why I drove an 8. So let's say $80 since I already wrote an 8. And I can set a threshold of $80. And once it passes that, it will alert. Anomaly detection, on the other hand, is for you to set a threshold balance. So basically, let's say, I don't really want to set an exact amount because I don't really know, but let's say, over time, my stuff is maybe $20, and then another month it might be 25, and then maybe it's 19, and maybe it's 22. And so it'll start to make a little trend line, up and then down and then this. And I can say, hey, I want to search for, I'm okay with a variation of about 10%. And so it won't alert you until it changes more than that 10%. So it follows the trends and it's looking for large changes with with something that you set, okay? So that's what anomaly detection is, but a lot of times you're gonna be using static here. So we're gonna set static, and then we're gonna choose, for whatever estimated charge is, choose greater than, and then enter a monthly amount, for example, 200. So we're gonna choose to alert us when it's greater than a certain amount, and that amount here, I'm gonna say for you, I would say do however much you're comfortable with. But if you don't want to pay any money, put $2 or something like that. I'll say put 5. I say 10 just to be safe. I invest in yourself. Be willing to spend the $5. But seriously, put in whatever number is good for you. Like I said, this is designed to be completely free, so you actually shouldn't get charged any money. But pick a number that you want to know for sure. And I'll say I'll put $10 in here. And cool. So that's going to set up the billing alert. Okay, choose next. But this is not going to send us a message. It's going to be able to trigger some stuff for us, but this isn't complete quite yet. We're actually going to have to use another service to actually get us the information. Fortunately, they've built this into this workflow now. So the alert will get created, and CloudWatch will see it, and CloudWatch will begin to notify us, but it's not going to send us anything. We actually need to use a service called SNS. And so we're going to learn about that. Like, when is that week? SNS, we're going to do week 14. So a long time from now. But what SNS will allow us to do is to notify us that this thing is now alarming. Okay. So we're going to wait for it to alarm. And then when it does, it's going to tell us that it's alarming. And so what we're going to do is alarm state. When should this thing be triggered? When it's in an alarm. So there's 3 different stages of an alarm in CloudWatch. It can either be in alarm, meaning that it's crossed the threshold that you set. It also could be an okay state, which means it's completely fine, or it could be insufficient data. If it's not receiving enough information, that is another state it could be in. And so to send something, you need to create a new SNS topic. This is simply, this is like a profile really for SNS to know where to send stuff to. I'm going to create a new topic because I'm pretty sure it tells you to create a new topic. Select the SNS topic, select SNS topic to notify when it's in an alarm state. So that's what we did. To have an alarm sent to multiple notifications of the same alarm, you can do add notifications. So all I'm going to do is new topic. I'm going to say something like example. You can call it whatever you want, but I'm going to say Basecamp cost alert is what I'm going to call this topic. It can be anything, must be unique though. Alphanumeric characters. Oh, so sorry. It can't have any spaces. So I'll put dashes in between. There we go. And then you put in the email address that you want it to go to. So I'm going to send to my personal email address. Right there. And then you create the topic here. So that's going to create a topic that you can use across SNS for other things to be able to send stuff to. And so now I did that. If you want to add a notification, you can include more email addresses. And then, auto scaling action, we don't really need any of this right now. That's really all we need to do. And we need to go through and click next, preview and create. So let's go ahead and do that. Next, add a name and description. I'm going to give it the same name. Alarm name is going to be Basecamp, cost alarm. Whatever you want to do, you can give it a description if you want, and preview and create. And we're simply going to go down and create the alarm. Now, the only way to test this would be to spin up a bunch of services to make it go over $10 and do that. But if you did what we just did, if you follow this guide, it'll work and it will alert you. It works. People use them every single day. Is this for cloud practitioner? DYM. This is not specifically to take any certification course. You will be equipped to take the cloud practitioner most likely after this course. This is probably closer to, honestly probably a little bit closer to the SysOps associate level cert. Probably a little bit hybrid between the SysOps and the solutions architect cert, to be 100% honest with you. But yeah, I think you'll be more than ready for the cloud practitioner cert, I think, when we're done with this. We're not going to cover quite as many services because cloud practitioner, once you be familiar with a few more services, but you'll really have an understanding of AWS, not just their services. You see hackers hitting up personal AWS accounts to run mining rigs all the time. Absolutely. Let's see. All right. Will we build a portfolio of work? You will do about 7 or 8 labs. For cloud stuff, portfolio of work is kind of weird to me. You will have done labs and projects that you can talk about. Whether or not you can show them is another thing, just because of the way like infrastructure works. You will have projects that you can talk about, that you can discuss, that you've worked through. So yes, I think from what most people consider a portfolio of work, yes, you will have that. All right. Yeah, that's the billing alarm. If you weren't able to follow along because you had that 15-minute timeout or you haven't set up your AWS account yet, let me share that with you again. You can just Google AWS how to set up a billing alarm, but I'll share this as well. Again, just if you want to save it, I can also include it inside of the Google Classroom as well. So, tangible takeaways. What should you, so after today's class, a lot of information, very long. I think every other class after this will be much easier. What should you be walking away with? You should be walking away with a light understanding of what the cloud is. We'll dive deeper into it. It'll make more sense to you. So go back over and look, a distributed network of computing resources that can be accessed on demand. That's the main piece you want to remember. Main piece you want to know. You want to know that we're the cloud. We're renting computing resources that we pay for what we use, and we don't really have to pay when we're not using them. I want you to be familiar with AWS being Amazon Web Services. I want you to know that it's the largest cloud provider. It has the biggest market share, at least right now. Maybe not the largest cloud infrastructure, but the largest market share right now. I want you to know that AWS has a global infrastructure, that they have many, many regions, 26 as of right now, around the world. And that a region is made up of a cluster of data centers, and that in each side of each region, there are multiple availability zones, which are smaller, discrete data centers that allow for redundancy, that allow for redundant networks, redundant data, to make it much easier for your applications to be fault tolerant, and for failover and things like that. And then I want you to know that AWS services cost money, and that there are a whole bunch of them, and that we put them together like Legos to be able to build solutions for people. And that's what we're gonna be learning, how to use these, which Lego pieces which one of these services are the long Lego piece, which one of them are the small square one, which ones are the normal building block ones. We're going to figure out which pieces are which, so that we know how to put together the solution that our customer, our client, or our employer needs. Do yourself a favor, set up the billing alarm. This should be free, but just in case we make a mistake, you should have a billing alarm set up. So if you haven't, go ahead and do that. And again, you've learned you've learned a couple things you can talk about. If someone's like, okay, AWS, how do you manage costs? We haven't learned all about that yet, but one of the first things you say is, first thing, I set up a billing alarm. I find out what our budget is, and I set up billing alarms in the account to make sure that we are informed if we are about to cross that threshold. Nice and easy. You already have your first, big level, high level answer there. I want to get past the HR autofilter when applying. It's a big deal. The HR autofilter is a problem. The best way to get around it is to throw the right buzzwords on your resume. Even if you need to embellish a little bit, don't lie, but even if you need to embellish a little bit, getting a job it's you're playing a game. I don't care what anybody says. People will say that's not right. You shouldn't do that. No, I disagree. We're talking about your livelihood here. And if they're going to play a game by allowing, I understand why companies, they're interviewing lots of people. They're going through lots of resumes. They do need this screening phase. It would take them way too long to go through all the resumes. But if they are going to omit you because of that, figuring out how to get around it is up to you. Yes, don't lie. So get terminated in 2 weeks. So definitely don't. So the thing is, even if you lie, you're probably going to get caught up in that lie in the interview. So you can risk it if you want. I've seen people lie and then go quickly learn the things so they can speak about it, they can understand it. It's a risk it's a risk you're taking if you do lie. But formulating your resume in a way that it has the necessary terms and words, and figuring out how to adjust your resume in a way that works for getting past the auto blockers is important. It's important. And I'm never going to tell you to lie, but you are. Sell yourself. Be prepared to deliver. Every time a car sell, anybody's trying to sell you anything, they're telling you the right things, but they're embellishing a little bit. They're trying to do what you want to hear so that you can get in and really show what you got. So it's a game. It's definitely a game that you're going to have to learn how to play. I'm going to do my best to teach you as much of that game as possible. The skills asked for doing an internship is demanding. Is this how it actually is? No. Uh, I've never worked a role where the job was more difficult than what the job rec list, the posting for the job is going to be more difficult than the actual job is going to be. I've never worked a job where I got in and the job was harder than what was asked of me. Usually the interview is going to be harder than your day-to-day, to be 100% honest. It's you know, I think the interesting thing about most tech roles is that, one, you're not doing this stuff in a bubble. It's not, hey, go do all of this thing and you don't have any resources. Usually you have a whole team of people you can ask questions to. You have time, you have context that make getting things done much easier. You have help, you have people to lean on if you're comfortable doing that. A lot of times people get in situations where they're not comfortable asking for help for fear of seeming like they don't know what they're doing. That's a huge mistake. No one knows it all. Remember, it was one of the bullet points we had. No one knows it all. So I think on the job is much, much easier. Again, contextually, things make sense. Like when you know the full scope of a project and what a company's trying to do, it's a lot easier to put in place the things that need to be put in place. Like right now, when you're learning, we're talking about conceptually, like you don't really know what types of things you're going to face. And so it can be a little bit weird. Okay. Hello, Raiders. Who's raiding me? If this is a Leon raid, there's a lot of people. It's gotta be Leon. I see Leon emotes. Welcome everyone. Come on in. Welcome. It is good to have you. I didn't even see the raid message because so many people, oh man, lots of followers. Come on in. So if everyone doesn't know, I'm going to wait to do a shout out for Learn with Leon. So Leon's super dope. If you haven't seen Leon, I don't know where you've been. If you want to learn, another great place to go. He does web dev training right here on Twitch. Amazing dude. Super duper helpful, huge channel. As you can see, all of these raiders are in here. I have no idea how many people this is pretty nuts. Thank you so much, Leon, for the raid. It's been a while. Me and Leon actually just did a panel recently together. It was super dope. So it's good to chill and get with you. I hope you all learned a lot tonight. Actually, what were you all doing over there on Leon's channel? What did you learn tonight? I'm gonna see if I can see it. Thank you so much for all the follows, because a lot of followers. OOP, y'all still down? Hey, you down with OOP? Yeah, you know me. They were learning a little bit of object-oriented programming. We will be learning object-oriented programming in Camp Code on Mondays. So if you're interested in code, Mondays. But everyone who's coming in from Leon's channel, today is the first day of something called Camp Cloud. We're learning about cloud computing with AWS. 22 weeks. We've done it before under a different name. This one goes a little bit deeper. So if you're interested in cloud computing, come on over on Tuesdays. It's going to be every Tuesday, once a week. If you're interested in DevOps stuff, we're doing DevOps stuff on Thursday, and we're actually doing a computer science program on Monday. Not web dev stuff. I'm a terrible web developer, but I am a I do know some software stuff. So we're gonna be diving into a software course on Mondays at 7. I know Leon doesn't stream on Sundays, so come on over on Sundays. Yes, we are Legion. I love you. Hey, I'm 100 dev. I'm a Leon lover. Okay. I love Learn with Leon channel. Seriously, give Learn with Leon a follow. I'm going to do a shout out, but it's going to get lost because there's so many of you. Learn with Leon. Did I spell that right? Y'all know I can't spell over here. But definitely, you'll see Leon live. Definitely give Leon a follow. I think super duper valuable content. Amazing teacher. And again, he also teaching the stuff that I suck at. So I need to come over and watch as well. I might have to tune in before my streams every day. But it's good to see you. This is day one, 100% day one. We're actually finishing up day one. Good to see everybody. What's up, good dudes? I haven't seen you in a long time. Doing good. Doing really good. What do you do with AWS? So my background is in DevOps and site reliability engineering, all that stuff. So I've done a ton of things with AWS. If you want to know some of the things, anyone who's in the United States and PPP loans, if you received a PPP loan, I touched most of that. Me and a small team, you may have hated the process. We hated the process too, spent long nights. Very small team of people were able to build that. We were actually finding out about changes and things that we need to do live on CNN. We were sitting around with each other, but yeah, pretty dope stuff. If you're in the U.S., look, the SBA.gov. This is a government website. This is a full serverless application right here. You are looking at a serverless website. I helped take this from an old Drupal page, out. You can, if you look at all the requests and stuff, you can see it's making a bunch of API requests, full serverless, microservice architecture, all that stuff. I actually helped lead the team that was on this. I was a tech lead for the team that did this stuff. I've done lots and lots with AWS, lots of scalable stuff, lots of different services, lots of fun stuff. DevOps is my thing. Systems, containers, all that other stuff. That's the stuff that I love. So like I said, today we're learning cloud stuff. On Thursday, we are learning, we're doing a DevOps anthology series. Okay, so we're starting out with Linux. If you don't know Linux, starting Thursday, we'll be learning Linux for 7 weeks, and then we'll be diving into like some systems administration stuff, and then we'll be diving into a little bit of coding with Python to do some systems stuff and scripting. Then we're getting into all the networking and into the containers and all that. So if you're interested, come on through. The courses are between 2 and 3 hours every day. We're trying to get out by 9:30 Eastern time. So 7 p.m. Eastern time is when we'll run through them. Come on through. I know that lines up with I know the Tuesday and Thursday lines up with Leon. Head over, learn your stuff with Leon. This stuff is watchable for 60 days on Twitch afterwards. They'll also go up on my YouTube channel after that permanently, so you can watch them whenever you get to them. I know y'all are doing some stuff, but yeah, C Walker, I do not work at Fearless. Fearless is dope. That's why they're down. That's why they're down in my bio. Fearless is the only place. Fearless Solutions is the only place. They're not solutions anymore. Fearless.tech. I'm gonna give them a shout out. I'm gonna give a couple companies a shout out real quick. If you are looking to do some dope stuff with some dope people, Fearless. This place literally changed my life. Literally changed my life. The people here literally changed my life. I mean that. Fearless.tech. Apply. Let them know that I sent you over there. They didn't know that I sent you. But super duper dope company. Like genuinely, I worked a lot of places in my career. I was here for 4 years. I have been everywhere for no longer than 13, 14 months. I got here and I was here for 4 years. Loved every second of it. Didn't want to leave at all. The only reason I left is because they taught me how to run a business and send me off on my own. Made me leave basically. They didn't really make me leave, but and so I'm actually still in the same building as Fearless. I'm gonna give them, I'm gonna give them a shout out for sure. Link didn't work. The link for which thing didn't work? Was it the type form? No. Okay, the YouTube channel. Yeah, Mastermind. Yep, link in bio is broken. Okay, yeah. So it's just the people found it. Y'all are great. I appreciate it. Yes, the link in the bio is broken. Yes, I am in Baltimore. I'm actually in the same building that Fearless is in. I actually have an office in the same building, Spark, Baltimore. Pretty dope place. I probably shouldn't tell people where I'm at, but I don't really care. It's public knowledge. If you go to my Mastermind website, it tells you where I am. Anyway, so you can find me if you needed to find me. But seriously, super dope company that, I'm always going to give them their love. I'm always going to give them their shout outs. That's why they're in my bio, because I think it's an amazing place to work. They're open to all kinds of levels of people. They do some dope stuff with the government. Like I said, we were in the government. We were going down to the SBA in our hoodies, and everybody in the government's all dressed up. We're going down there in our hoodies for our different scrum ceremonies. We got our hoodies and our jeans on, and we're doing some dope stuff. But yeah, what's up, everybody? There's so many of you. I appreciate the hype train. Thank you all so much for the follows. For everything. If you're just meeting me for the first time, my name's Aaron Brooks. I DevOps background. I've been doing this. I used to do this all the time. I used to stream like 6 days a week. Then I got the opportunity to run an in-person boot camp here in Baltimore with a pretty dope company called Betamore, with a nonprofit called Betamore. And so we're actually going to be running that again. I'm not going to be teaching the second time, but we're planning on running it again coming up. And so if you're in the Baltimore area and you want the opportunity to do a completely free funded boot camp, reach out to me, and I can get you some access to that. Do I think Kubernetes is hard to learn? Yes, I do think it's hard to learn because it depends on how much you know. It builds on so many topics and concepts. I think if you already have an understanding of how applications are run and managed, and you already have a good handle on conceptually on Docker and containers, I actually think Kubernetes is relatively easy to do. I actually think Kubernetes is pretty easy to wrap your head around. I think it's very difficult to master, though. I think Kubernetes is very difficult to master, but it is, you can do it. You can do it for sure. You're a chef. I'm not a chef. I'm not a chef. I've used Chef before. I've used the tool Chef before. I am not a chef at all. It's called Betamore. Yes, it's called Betamore. Betamore. Pretty dope spot. Warriors at 4. I agree with you. What's the difference between AWS, Azure, and GCP for you? I think AWS has to me the best API, so doing things programmatically. Even though they say GCP is the developer's cloud, AWS just has the biggest market share. The difference between them to me is who they're most comfortable for. I think AWS is the generalist cloud. I think Azure is for the enterprises, and GCP is for the developer. I think that's kind of how they've kind of shifted, and they've been typecasted as. The difference to me between them is actually surprisingly small. They have different ideas for implementation of certain things, but they all, you can get the same things done in all of them, just in different ways. Does anyone actually need Kubernetes? No. I feel very strongly about that. I'm not a Kubernetes lover at all. I'm familiar with it. I use it, but I think most places don't need it. Everyone's over engineering to me, and they're causing themselves problems. But hey, it is what it is. Big for DevOps makes me money. I'm a Towson grad. Would love to learn more. Hey, Towson. Hey, was TU? Is that what y'all say? TU turn up? I don't know. I just, that felt like something college kids do. TU. I guess I went to UMBC for a little while before I promptly failed out of it. But yeah, I think Azure is dope. I think you should learn it. It's super huge. I really like their interfaces. I think they are doing some cool things. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's quite as mature as AWS, but I think it's 100% a perfect place to go. It's super important for 100 devs, as Leon has said. It's not a DevOps program. Yeah, yeah. Are you on YouTube for people? Yes, I am on YouTube for people who can't make it to class. 100%. Do I play Elden Ring? If I had time, I would play Elden Ring. Right now, the only games that I play, I just finished Luigi's Mansion 3, which is pretty dope. I used to play Overwatch nonstop. Overwatch 2, when it comes out, I will probably get back into. But yeah, I love gaming. I have a monster gaming PC. I got an Xbox. I have a Switch. I just don't have time to play a lot anymore. So I'll probably dedicate my time to Overwatch 2 when it comes out. How close is DevOps to going into cybersecurity engineering? They're very different. Very different. Cybersecurity also has a lot of like when you say cybersecurity, there are a lot of different places. There's, you can end up being a CISO or an ISO, and you can basically just learn about vulnerabilities and learn about reporting databases and management software, and you can go into places and make sure that they're compliant. That could be one aspect of cybersecurity. You could be in real threat intelligence and be boots on the ground and doing stuff. You could be a pen tester. You could be a hacker. So there's a lot of different spaces in there. I think there's it's something that where they cross paths, but I think the tools that you need to know are very different, aside from maybe the networking things and a little bit of programming. But yeah, cybersecurity engineering, I think is it's scary to me, to be 100% honest. But I don't think they're very close at all. Play UT2K4. What is that? I don't know what that means. Some server, Overwatch, let's go. I don't know what UT2K4 is. Overwatch 2 is way more fast-paced than Overwatch 1. I love it. Favorite Overwatch character? Overwatch 1, I'm a big tank player. And Zenyatta. I love Zenyatta, but probably Orisa. Orisa's a little bit boring to play, but she became my favorite character. I'm good with all the tanks. Big fan of Winston as well. What does DevOps aim to do? Can you give me a brief rundown? 100%. I'm a little bit of a DevOps purist. What DevOps is, it's a cultural and professional movement designed to help companies move and deliver software as fast as they want to. So it's not a technical thing. It is a way that it's an ethos. It's a way that the company basically is run. Your departments are run to be able to help deliver software. What DevOps does is it fosters a bunch of communication between multiple teams, so that everyone knows what's going on, and it allows you to, with a focus on building these pipelines, building tools, building pipelines, building feedback layers, so that you can quickly get software from the developer's laptop out into production as fast as possible to understand what impact that made and to be able to make changes very quickly. So a lot of what DevOps is building these pipelines for developers. So basically, as a DevOps engineer, my customer is not the end user. It is actually the developer. I'm building things. I'm supporting the development process. And that's what DevOps is supposed to be. It's not like that everywhere. A lot of places, it's the person just managing the systems. So I would build CI pipelines using a tool like Jenkins or like Circle CI or GitHub Actions, so that when the developer writes some code, all they have to worry about, so I might even set up their a Docker file or something so they can quickly set up a local development environment, so they don't have to worry about that. And when they push their code, we set up these pipelines so that it's automatically tested, automatically built, and pushed out into a place where it can be viewable, so that they don't have to worry about those things and they can spend their time really building the applications and the tools that people need. A lot of places, though, it is simply a systems administrator who knows some stuff about the cloud and can do a little bit of automation. And so, it gets a little bit weird everywhere. What's the cost of the DevOps programming? I am asking for a friend. Oh, free. All this is free. All of my stuff is free. So you can come on through and do it all because it's completely free to do so. Let's see. What are some of the tools a DevOps engineer needs to learn? So roadmap.sh is a great place to start. Here's my rundown of what a DevOps engineer needs to learn. Linux, for one. They gotta learn Linux. And then after that, you need to fill each of these categories. So programming language, even if it's just Bash, it's great, but I recommend Python. I love Go, so that would be my real recommendation. But I think Python is a little bit easier to get into. So Python, definitely things like Docker or containerization tool like Docker. I don't necessarily think you need to learn Kubernetes, but in this market, it's a very good tool to learn. I think you need a tool to be able to quickly provision infrastructure via code. So I think you need to learn one infrastructure as code tool. Something like Terraform is something good. There's a bunch of other ones. There's Pulumi. There's a lot of tools, but Terraform I think is a popular tool that you should learn if you're into DevOps. Learn Git. You need to learn Git. Learn one CI tool. People will tell you to learn Jenkins. I think Jenkins is fine. That's the first time you'll ever hear me say that. I probably will never say it again. But Jenkins or something like GitHub Actions, you need to learn one CI tool. So really one tool from each of these categories. If you go to roadmap.sh/DevOps, if you learn one tool from every category, that's all you need. You don't need to learn all these tools. Okay, look, they put a little purple check mark by each one with their recommendations. Learn one tool from each of the categories, and that's all you need. A lot of broad level of topics, so it can take a while, but it is super lucrative. And yeah, what did we cover so far today? All we learned was what the cloud is, what AWS is. We learned about the global infrastructure. We learned about regions and availability zones. We hopped in and made an account, and we set up a billing alarm. So we're just getting started with that. We haven't learned anything in the DevOps course yet, though. That starts on Thursday. What's the transition from software engineer to DevOps? Learning system stuff. So I actually was doing a bit of a reverse transition. Well, not reverse, but I was going from system stuff and DevOps stuff to software so I could be a better DevOps engineer. And so really it's going from learning just software. Anyone who already knows software, if you're a software engineer, you make the best. To me, software engineers make the best DevOps engineers because you already have the programmatic thinking mind. And so really now all you got to do is learn how to manage systems. So learning a little bit more Linux, understanding how, how to configure and to manage processes and things on a system, and how how the network together to be able to serve out to the world is all you really need, and you can really start to make to do some work there. Do I need a degree to apply? No. You don't need a degree. You absolutely do not need a degree. I do not have a degree. Let me be very clear about that. I don't have a degree. I did go to school for a little while, but I never finished. You do not need a degree. But Fearless is a government contractor, so there are contracts in which you cannot be you can't take the role because the government requires you to have a degree in that space, or you can have years of experience in lieu. So there are ways around it, but yeah, there will be roles that you will not qualify for, but there will absolutely be roles that you will qualify for. So you do not need a degree. Yeah, the work-life balance in DevOps. It all depends on where you go. It all depends on where you go. I think work-life balance has been great in most of my positions. I think there are times when the work-life balance is weird because you're often responsible for the production systems. That means you're probably going to be on call sometimes, and you might have to do work on weird hours. I'm okay with that, and usually that means they'll give you time to be off during the day and stuff. I think there's a lot of flexibility, but that might mean you have to be available a little bit more often. So it can be a little bit weird. They generally compensate you well though, so it's worth it. The roadmap is amazing. I'm glad. Perfect. I'm glad you're finding it valuable. Does DevOps software engineering make more? I think generally across the same level, DevOps makes more. DevOps and site reliability engineers make a little bit more along the same levels. I do think that there are more extremely high paying software positions though. Like I'm talking about when you're getting into the $300,000, $400,000, $400,000, $500,000 ranges, which is crazy. I've never touched anywhere near that. but I think there are more software engineering roles at those upper limit levels. But I think those people could probably do DevOps stuff. But I think for across the board, for a senior software engineer to senior DevOps engineer, I think the DevOps engineer is going to make more. Is the DevOps class on Thursday good for beginners? It'll be approachable because we're doing each individual topic one by one. I actually think it would be pretty good for beginners. Like we're gonna start Linux from the very beginning. 7 weeks, you will be good at Linux. You'll be solid at Linux by the end of it. And when we get to the CI portions, we'll start from the beginning of each topic and walk through that. So I prefer Linux, but I work on Windows machines, okay? The reason I work on Windows machines, I like Macs, I like them all. The reason I work on Windows machines is because Windows machines actually have the ability to install Linux on them. WSL2, the Windows subsystem for Linux 2 is an amazing product. And so one, I use Windows because of things like this. I stream, I do some video editing and stuff, I play games. So Windows makes the most sense for me. Linux, there are some softwares and things that I rely on that I can't use in Linux. And the reason I don't use Mac is simply it's actually because of hardware choice. I'm rough with my stuff. I don't like jewelry laptops. I think Macs are great. I have an M1 MacBook that I use for certain things. I think Mac OS is solid. But I love ThinkPads. I like rugged stuff. I just like the choice of different types of hardware. I actually use my laptop is actually a Surface Laptop Studio, and again, I like the functionality of it. I take notes a lot for things I'm going to teach. I take notes a lot for a lot of stuff. I use it the way I want to use it, but I use all the operating systems, to be honest, pretty consistently. But my preference is Windows. WSL2 does not take up a lot of disk space. I do find that it can be a RAM hog. I do find that it can take up a bit of RAM. Like right now on my main PC, which is a monster PC, WSL2 is taking up, I have 128 gigs of RAM on it, and WSL2, because I do a bunch of stuff with it, looks like it's taking up about 5 gigs of RAM right now, which is a lot. Like that's a lot because it's running like a little virtual machine in there. But it can be, if you have a slower computer, yeah, it can be a little bit weird for sure. Right now though, if you had to ask me at any given time, what computer should you get, for most people, I think for most people, the answer right now is a MacBook Air, M1 MacBook Air. That is the answer. And I'm a Windows guy. And M1 MacBook Air is the answer. Cost to performance, the battery life, it's all. I've edited 4K videos on an M1 MacBook Air. It's the answer. I think it's the answer for most people. But yeah, it's just what it is. What's your comfort display setup? Large 4K wraparound monitor, multiple monitors. It used to be a bunch of monitors. Now I know this is gonna sound weird. My preference is a singular 4K monitor, preferably 32 inches, but I'll take a 27-inch monitor. The reason being, is a focus factor. I've learned how to do screen splitting effectively and stuff. I think it keeps me a little bit more focused. Right now, I'm running 2 4K monitors plus the laptop display right now. And at home, I run a single 32-inch 4K 144 hertz monitor. That's what I prefer. But yeah, I want an M1 MacBook Pro. That's amazing. Yeah, saving up to get one. I really think it's kind of the perfect. You can't beat it. You really can't beat it because they're super affordable. Solid display, amazing performance, extremely long battery life. You can't ask for more than that. M1 is the type of chip. It's the new Apple ARM-based chip that are in them, and it's been pretty revolutionary actually. The DevOps course better for beginners. The Monday and the Tuesday courses are the best ones for beginners. Monday is Camp Code. Tuesday's Camp Cloud. Those are better for beginners, but I do think the DevOps course will be approachable for the beginners. The best device for coding on the what device is best for coding on the go? Yeah, honestly, coding on the go, M1 MacBook Air. If you're on the go, battery life is probably the most important thing on the go. Is probably battery life and weight and battery life. M1 MacBook. I do really like this framework laptop. Not gonna lie, but M1 MacBook on the go. Yes, there is a Discord. ! Discord should get you there. Leon, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. 18 months, that's crazy. I appreciate the support, man. Really, really do. Thank you so much. I come from a cloud migration background, dope. And looking to get an AWS cert. Is DevOps course good on that resource? This course will be more beneficial for you getting an AWS certification than the DevOps one. The DevOps one won't cover a lot of cloud stuff. Only a little bit of cloud stuff. Cloud migration, that's dope. You go. I would cloud migration stuff. It depends on what side of the cloud migration stuff you were on. If it was more the planning, admin side of things, or then I would say get the solutions architect. If it was more of the, hands-on migration strategies, I would get the SysOps cert. But this class is going to be better for both of those. Yeah, M1 wins for both of those. Wow. Yes, the roadmap.sh thing is amazing. It's so good. I share it all the time with people. Thank you so much. If Dan can, appreciate the sub. I'm using my M1 Airs dual screen. Yeah, with the Alienware desktop, and it feels like the battery drains a little faster. Yeah. Yes. Actually, do they have regions on every continent? Let me see. They got one down in Antarctica. That would be crazy if they do. Probably everything except Antarctica, but it is crazy. It's wild. It's wild. Oh, yeah, okay, not Antarctica. 6 continents. Yeah, that is pretty crazy though. It's pretty crazy. Want to know whether Chrome on Mac drains battery faster than Safari? It does. And Chrome drains faster even on like a Surface product. I'm a huge fan of Surface products. Edge actually gives me back like 30 minutes to like 45 minutes of battery life when I just use Edge. So when I'm on the go, I actually do use Edge for my stuff, just for the little bit of extra battery life. I had no cloud background and went from SA to dev to SysOps associate. Now I'm trying to get more hands-on experience. Dope. Yeah, SA is definitely Dev is the AWS developer cert is probably the easiest associate level cert to get. Then solutions architect. The sysops one is hard. I had years of sysadmin experience, years of cloud experience, and I failed the sysops exam the first time I took it. The dev one I passed with flying colors the first time. Same thing for solutions architect. The sysops one was hard, but solutions architect pro is probably the hardest exam. How do you see Rust integrations with DevSecOps value added? Yes, I do think there's value add there, but only if you're already a competent programmer. I would not dive into Rust if I'm in the DevSecOps space and I'm looking for a programming language to pick up. I think Go is a much more value add language, while factoring the amount of time it's going to take you to learn it. Rust is hard. Rust is very hard, especially if you don't, Rust is hard to learn. But yeah, I definitely think there's value there for sure. I think it's going to become much more prevalent. The security space, we're talking about C, lots of C stuff. Rust is gonna help you out there for sure. When you gotta manage memory, things like that, it's gonna help. Dope. Yeah. I really appreciate the rate, Leon. Really, really do. Sysops was the hardest. Yeah, for me, sure. Yeah, it was hard. Cool. Yeah. So you all rated us right at the end. I usually don't stay online this long. We usually try to end around 9:30 Eastern time, between 9 and 9:30 Eastern time. But I really appreciate the questions. I really appreciate people coming through and saying hi. Leon, genuinely appreciate the rate. I've never streamed to this many people before ever in my life. So this is pretty dope. Again, like I told people yesterday, get out there, watch some more streamers, learn some more things, watch people build stuff, immerse yourself in this stuff. You'd be surprised at how much you learn through osmosis. You have not failed at learning this stuff until you stop learning. So it's okay if you miss a day. It's okay if you miss a week. It's okay if you take some time off. Just keep it in the back of your mind, hop in, learn a new thing, learn a little bit each week. Just learn just one little thing. Read a new article, watch a new YouTube video every day or so. You would be surprised at how quickly you can pick up things. Again, you take one course, one day learning a little bit about Amazon, you now know more about AWS and cloud computing than 90% of the entire world. You're in the top 10% right now of people who know things about cloud computing. Keep going. Close that gap. Get closer to that 1%. Take your time. Keep learning every day. It's really, really fun. Yeah, you and Leon should run a conference. We should. That would be dope. I would love to. That'd be awesome. Stay consistent. Yes, do your best to stay consistent. But if you do fall off of that consistency is how you're gonna get there. But if you fall off from it a little bit, it's okay. It's okay. Pick it back up, just like a diet, just like anything else. Pick it back up. Keep going. Don't be too hard on yourself, y'all. It's easy to be hard on yourself. Give yourself some compassion. Give yourself some love. Let yourself, be vulnerable here. Learn, ask questions. Give yourself to the process. Talk to people, work with people, and it'll make your time learning much, much, much easier. Also, the end goal, you don't need to complete this course to start getting a job. We'll learn half of this stuff. Start applying, start talking to people, start learning how to interview and speak about these things. The goal isn't to learn it all. You'll never learn it all. You'll never ever learn it all. Just keep learning more, and eventually someone will find you valuable. Someone will pay you for that value. You keep moving, you work your way up the ladder. I have 3 certs and I'm still scared to apply. It is scary. It's scary, but you won't do it till you do it. You won't do it till you do it. Yes, apply without a cert, 100%. You don't need a cert. You don't need a degree. But just make sure you have that knowledge. The hardest piece, the first job is the hardest. Being able to get the resume right and things like that is the hardest piece. So talk to people, head to Twitter, have conversations, go into different Discords, ask questions, see how you can get your resume in a place that starts getting you callbacks. Then learn how to speak about these things. Learn how to speak about what you know. It's so hard to do, but talk out loud about the things that you're learning so that you know how. So when a question's asked, so that you know how to find the right words. You can know something really well, but if you've never thought about how to say it back to someone, how to express it to somebody, it might be really difficult to find the words when you need to find the words. So practice that. Yeah. What job titles do we look for cloud stuff? Cloud engineer, cloud administrator. Look for systems administrator roles, and sometimes they'll have cloud stuff listed. Look for I've seen stuff like cloud specialist. I've seen, cloud, obviously cloud engineering roles. I will look for AWS systems administrators. I will look for I would say even look for some junior DevOps roles, because knowing the cloud is, for a lot of the junior roles is like, that's the big piece that you need to know. So there's a lot of overlapping skill sets between all these things. So you can try lots of different things. Yes, VODs will be on YouTube. Should we be ready to take the AWS exam cert by the end of this course? I think you'll be able to, so this is not specifically designed around it. I think you'll be very close to being ready for the Solutions Architect Associate, probably only because there's some specific things they're looking for in some of these tests that we're not going to cover. This is designed to be more functional than to be exam ready. But you will be able to you'll probably be able to 60% every exam. You only need a 70 something to pass. Most of the time it's a floating pass rate, but like you'll be able to 60%. I think you finish this course, you'll be able to 60% most of the exams. There is a more complete, a more complex course that follows this course up. This is the core foundational level of things. Yeah, I think people will appreciate it. Khadijah, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. Anyone I missed, I appreciate it. Like I said, there were so many follows, so much support, so much love. I really, really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming through. We will be back for our first part 1 of 7 for our DevOps series, Linux. We'll be doing Linux from the very beginning, starting on Thursday. So come through. If not, we'll be back on Monday with Camp Code. We're learning Go. We're learning Go in Camp Code. So if you want to learn Go, that's what we're learning. We're going to be doing data structures and algorithms, not on Monday, but we're learning Go from the very basics. We just started, so we're going to be getting Go installed. We'll be hopping into VS Code, learning about VS Code, getting all set up, and we'll be writing our first bit of code on Monday. So come on through. Come on through. Where can you read more about the courses? If you go to, so I'm redoing the site. So right now my website is just a Notion page. It's class.mat. So you can go to academy.mastermind.io is the main page, but the real place you can find the class stuff is class.mastermind.io. So class.mastermind.io. Let me show you how to navigate it really quick because it is a Notion page. The two things that we're running right now, we're running the 2 base camps. So the base camp section is showing Camp Code, Camp Cloud. You can find out all the information here. The curriculum is on the page here. So like we're doing all of our environment stuff on Monday for that. But the DevOps series is under anthologies. And so you can see what we're running here. So this is the full suite of things we're going to do in the DevOps course. CompSci class Mondays, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So if you do ! Register, I'll send out, it'll add you to the mailing list. Every week I'll send out the class, the topics, so that you know what you're in for. So if you want to skip or come to a different class or something like that, feel free. Just shoot your email in there, and you'll every Sunday you'll get a summary of the upcoming week, and that's it. That's the only email I'll send you. Yes, this was built in Notion. This was all built in Notion. It's okay. Things like this, like look, this is a button, but you can only click this little arrow. So there's some problems. There's some problems with that. And now everyone's typing register, so it might take a little bit for Nightbot to send back a response. But there you go. That's all of your registers right there. So Notion's cool. I use Notion for all of my note-taking stuff. Notion plus I write stuff in OneNote, and I combine them all later. So if you don't know what Notion is, really, really great tool for organizing your thoughts and stuff. We'll talk about that. Increase the padding, stupid web dev joke. I mean, yes, like you're not wrong though, but it's super weird to do this. Notion's my second brain. I agree. It's a super dope product. I really love it. I got my wife into it. She's bigger into it than I am. Like, yeah. Yeah, so I'm not a web dev, so like building a website for me is hard. I'll make your website real scalable. I'll make it scalable to the whole world, no problem. But building it, do you know how long it took me to build this? It took me so long to build this. Like it's a Gatsby. I was using Gatsby because I wanted to statically generate it, and like it took me so long to build this, and I used I did a lot of copying. It took me so long. And so I need to build the rest of the website, but I'm just, I'm kind of lazy. It was so easy to build and go. That's dope. I can build all the backend services, APIs. That's the things that I'm good at. Web dev, I'm a bum. I'm a bum when it comes to web dev stuff. Yeah. Whoa. Okay, cool. I gotta get out of here. I do have a little baby. She's probably already asleep by now, but gotta go hang out with the family. Thank you so much for coming through, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for having conversations. I love that, on Twitch we're building this community to foster learning. Again, I'm just telling you the type of opportunities one day, in the streams, I'll talk about my journey in tech. I'll talk about, things that I've been able to do. But man, it just makes me so happy to see people, just having a good time. We can do this in a very fun way. But yeah, I keep going, man. Keep going. I'm proud of you all. Thanks for coming through. Love you all. Now we got to raid somebody. So who's online? We can't leave without raiding someone. I always forget because I haven't streamed in so long. Let's see who's in the science and tech section or software developer section. Oh, Prime's on. Gotta rate Prime only because it's been so long. We gotta rate Prime. You will learn a ton from him. He's also just super entertaining. So we'll head over and say hello to the Primeagen. Let's make sure I spell his name right. The Primeagen. There we go. All right, we're out of here in 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thanks for coming through, everyone. I will see you later.